All right, we're live. We're live. We're live.
Ba-ba-da-ba.
Two Fat Guys Pull List episode trace. What up, Jamie? Dude, you literally dropped it. Oh my god. Cool.
Wait,
Well, we're live. Jamie, how's our sound? If Nate starts talking, how does he sound?
how do I sound? Am I good? Can you hear me?
Am I good?
Can you hear my voice?
Oh, we kind of ditched out. Nate's a little low. Okay, Nate's a little low.
Oh,
So
man,
I'm gonna work.
I wanted to be at 169.
You're at 169, but I'm adjusting the desktop audio now.
Okay.
Talk a little more. Talk a little more.
Still talking. Still talking at my 169. This is how loud I like to be. 169.
For no particular reason.
Oh no, there's a reason. It's because
I know.
69
Mm-hmm.
with an extra penis.
Okay. Okay. I'll bring you up just a little. I'm gonna bring you to negative 10 decibels. He's still a tad louder than me, so bring him down. Or no, bring him up. All right, I got him at 10 decibels. I can bring him to negative 5 if that sounds better.
Does it sound better now?
No, I'm louder. I'm
Good?
louder. So
Okay.
I'm gonna put you at negative 5.
Yep.
Sorry guys, just do an adjustment. Just bear with us. All right, we're at negative 5 decibels on the desktop audio. How does that sound? Talk, Nate.
I bet this is great. I bet this is just what we wanted. Perfect, right here. Perfect level.
All right, sounds good. We're good. All right. All right, awesome. So, welcome to episode 3 of Two Fat Guys Pull List. The pool this week was at 8/12. Yes, Wednesday was the 12th.
Yes.
So, we'll be going over those books. We've got, I think, a total of 16 books.
Oh my god.
Total of 16 books. It's a pretty big week. We're still trying to catch up from COVID. So we're gonna take care of that today, and then we got some news this week. We're gonna talk about DC. We're gonna talk about Boom Studios. We're gonna talk about Netflix. We're gonna do some back issue pulls, and then we'll talk about our pull list for next week, which is still pretty heavy. We're still in the heavy rotation, so that's where we're gonna go.
Still have one more week of Empire, so that adds.
Well,
a
I
lot.
think. Do we get any Empire books next week in the sense of main? I don't think we get a main title Empire book next week.
Oh, I think you're right. I think we get a week off. I forgot about that.
Hey, Ron. I think we got the audio set up, but I'm glad you are here so you can listen while you work on FOC. Super excited about that. So yeah, you want to get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so first up, as always, we're in the middle of a Marvel event, and we're going to kick it off with Empire number 5. All right, let's get into it.
My first statement is it's about time.
No shit.
I'm glad we finally got some action.
Excuse the French, but no shit. This book finally felt like we were going somewhere in the event. I'm really happy about it. And I'll be honest with you, just like initial thought or feel for the book is it felt like a movie. It read like a movie, and there were things happening simultaneously, and it felt like it was happening simultaneously. Whether it was we finally figured out what the hell's going on with the Hulkling, or the Thing and She-Hulk's little throwdown, which I thought was epic.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
Yeah, and then, we get a little bit of resolve on what the hell's going on the Hulkling ship. And, it felt like a fast-paced movie, and it felt like this is what we've been waiting for, and there's only one more issue left. But what I liked about it, or not what I liked about it, I think my observation on the book itself is I truly think that Ewing and Slott basically they were, I think before COVID happened, I think they were heavily relying on the tie-ins. That's my observation of the series right now. I think all the action until up to issue 5, I think they were going to rely on all the tie-ins to get the action pack happen, and this was all just going to be story and dialogue essentially until 5. That's my thought. and I think that's evident in Captain America Empire, X-Men Empire, Captain Marvel Empire, all the Empire tie-ins that we actually did get. That's where the action is. And
yeah, I mean, it certainly seems that way, but that's a terrible way to write an event. Like, you need, a lot of people for whatever reason are absolutely terrified of being scammed by Marvel, trying to just get more money out of me with these tie-ins, and so they're really only picking up the main book, and
they're all going. They're all going. What's going on? They're all.
That is a risky
it.
Move to take. But
and to be absolutely honest with it, I think also if you look at the again, we go back to the series that they dropped, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the main one that I don't understand why they dropped, because the majority of the action is happening there, is the Agents of Wakanda.
Oh yeah.
We keep on getting these flashbacks of, and here's what's going on in Wakanda, right? And in this issue, we got more than 2 pages. We got like 6 pages of what was going on in Wakanda, and it was epic and it was badass. But I really do believe that the tie-ins were the key to the action in this series, and we can make that overall statement towards the end when 6 comes out and Aftermath and all that. But yeah, this again, no, I'm not knocking this book at all. 5 was fantastic. It had a little bit of everything, and the only thing I guess that we didn't really get was the reveal of who we know as the audience who is the Hulkling, the fake Hulkling, right?
Do we for sure know?
Feel like we do. Maybe you're right. Maybe we don't.
I feel like you can make a pretty obvious, educated guess that it's his grandmother, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know that for sure.
You were correct. I mean, we will find out towards the end. But that's, to me, was the only thing that we didn't really get an answer to in this issue. Everything else was where's the Hulkling? There he is. What's happening in Wakanda? Oh shit, that's what just happened in Wakanda.
Yeah. Can we talk about that really quick?
Yeah, go for it.
So, and that's what I was going to ask is, we still haven't firmly decided if we are going spoiler free, spoiler neutral.
I think we've given the week. We've given the week, and the whole idea of this show is at some point we are going to. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there for sure, Thoron. Where did Thor go? At some point, we're going to take the show and we're going to put it on YouTube. We're going to cut it up and put it on YouTube. So I think we've given it the week. We've been sitting on it for a while, so we want to talk about it. Let's talk about spoilers.
So,
and hold on, before we say it, anyone in the chat that is watching right now, if you don't want it to get spoiled, I hate to see it go, but if you don't want to hear about it, warning, spoilers. But I hope you stay. So go ahead.
I didn't realize that Black Panther actually died until my second read through.
I didn't know that either. Oh, I think I just lost Nate. Right as he was. You still there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, sure can.
So he, swordsman pops through, stabs him, and you're like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Stabbed. But it's it's kind of, that sucks, but whatever. And it's not until 4 panels later that they're like, oh yeah, he's dead. That's what meat does.
He did.
He's dead now. And I was like, oh, he's dead. Okay, that was kind of anticlimactic, but okay. I don't know. That was that part. The Wakanda parts of this book were the parts that kind of frustrated me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That part was just sort of wait, is that okay? I guess so. And then I felt like we had a little bit of telling, not showing writing, which is a little frustrating.
Right. Which I think if you're Donny Cates, you can get away with that, but with this and with the expectation of this event, or at least what Marvel has put out, you would assume that the writers are going to not necessarily spell it out for you, but there's going to be a little bit more of a better direction of what's going on.
Well,
right?
I think there's just some exposition in here that's not necessary. They finally plant and open the portal in Wakanda, the gateway,
right. Yep.
And Black Panther's talking to Shuri, and he says, "We're in the end game now." And you're like, "Yeah, we got it."
We've been there.
We've been talking about it all event. I don't know. It was.
I think they
things.
also, I think they threw that line in there just so people are like, if somebody that's picking up this book who has never really read into like the most recent books goes, oh yeah, I've heard that line before in a Marvel movie.
Oh well, maybe.
That's how I felt about it when they dropped that line. I was like, oh, ha ha ha, because of Endgame and.
I didn't think about that. You're right.
Yeah, that's how I felt about that line. But anyway, I will say though the possessed She-Hulk and Thing fight was fucking cool.
Yeah.
With Susie just like throwing invisible barrier at left and right, and it's having no effect. I was like, dude, like it's almost as if that Kotati that was not almost as if that Kotati was full potential using She-Hulk's strength.
Right.
To just absolute full potential. And I don't know, man. We might see the death of the Thing here.
I mean, we've now seen the Thing fight Immortal Hulk and Immortal She-Hulk. So he's taken on all the immortal baddies.
Something to put on your resume, right?
Right.
So yeah, we have that, and then I guess I know I'm probably missing something, so I'm gonna jump towards the end unless you have anything else outside of those two. We finally another little criticism I have outside of again the tie-ins. Like Ron says, where did Thor go? Like seriously, I need some Thor, and I know that he's probably gonna show up here in the end, and this is probably going to be the resolve, is whatever the hell Thor is doing. Because we literally don't. We've seen him in the 0 issue and issue 1 and maybe 2 in the sense of like he's off doing something.
Yeah.
That's it. I would assume Thor is going to be the save-all here, but fuck, who knows? But, we finally get to see what Tony and Reed have been working on. And we're all assuming that Tony, throughout this entire time, has been building something, some kind of suit of armor. And we're all assuming that it's going to be for him. And now we find out that it's for Mr. Richards. He will be donning assuming a very stretchy Iron Man suit in issue 6.
I didn't even think of that. Yep.
Yep. And they had at the end of the end of the issue where they have the art panels, they had the design of the suit, and you can see it at one of the end of the panels. It's him stretched out in the Iron Man suit.
That's funny.
So it's some kind of like rubbery metallic substance that's going to stretch, maybe nanotechnology, who knows, but we're going to find out in the next issue that Reed Richards is the new stretchy Iron Man.
There you go.
So pretty cool. So yeah, that's Empire 5. I'm glad it finally hit. I'm a little disappointed that we only have one more issue left, and I really hope 6 is just a straight up dinger. You know what I mean? Like, because if it's not, it's just gonna kind of suck a little bit. I mean, I'm glad I get the book, but come on, man. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because we kind of flash read War of the Realms because we weren't really buying comics at the time. So
right.
I guess like reading that in complete succession.
No, they're not comparable as far as like action and stuff.
Absolutely not. But I think us going into this event, I think both of us were like, here we go.
Yeah.
We're finally we're going to experience a event with Marvel, and we're gonna get the same action and adrenaline that we got when we sped read through War of the Realms, because we didn't experience it in real time.
Right.
And it's been a little, I hate to say it, I really don't want to say it, but it's true. Like, it's just been kind of flat in the main issues. And if someone, you watch all these videos, or I watch all these videos of guys that are talking about what comics to buy up, and they're like, you know what, I'm passing on this because it's too slow. That sucks. I hate that. I hate hearing that, because I'm like, no, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to read it. I want to read it. So anyway, I enjoyed issue 5. I'm glad it's finally kind of firing in all cylinders, and I cannot wait for what happens in 6 and in the next 2 Omega issues, essentially.
Yep.
All right, up next, Captain Marvel 19.
Oh.
Again, action is happening in the tie-ins, and action does happen in here, and it's a lot. So we have Carol and her sister. Remind me her name again.
I think it's L'Oreal.
I need to write that down. So L'Oreal, and they essentially are trying to,
like the shampoo.
Okay, Lord. Okay, gotcha. Jesus. We essentially have these two characters that are, or not two characters, these two sisters, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do because L'Oreal has essentially been framed. At least that's what we think. And she needs to hide out. So Carol decides to bring her home and says, chill out at my pad. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to go figure this shit out. And
spoiler alert, she goes somewhere.
She does go somewhere. So while Carol is kind of doing some investigative, work, her sister is at home kind of, just chilling, not knowing what to do with herself. And she kind of gets into it, or not into it, but she gets into her own trouble without her really knowing. And if you want to take over, Nate, you go for it, and an explanation of what happens next.
So, I mean, yeah, so she honestly, I was not super thrilled by the issue. She has a funny interaction with the cat where she decides that she can't decide if the cat food is for cats or made out of cats.
Made of cats.
Which I thought was quite funny. So they go out to go look for better food for the cat and then end up getting in a fight with some plants.
Yeah, so the Kotati in this issue, and again, this has been released at the wrong time, essentially, but the Kotati evasion starts when L'Oreal is essentially looking for food for the cat. So I think this book was meant for, between probably 1 and 2, or not, if not 2 and 3.
I don't know if this is exactly like when the invasion is starting. I think this coincides with what's happening in Avengers #2, when all the stuff starts coming out of Central Park. Vision and Luke Cage are there. Dr. Nemesis are there, and then they kind of like everything explodes out. I think this is
probably where that's happening.
I think, yeah. I mean, if you look, there's a certain panel where they're fighting, and it very much feels like the background is New York City, and like they're in Central Park. So
she's fighting, and she gets a call from Carol, and she's like, "Hey, you might want to come home because shit's going down." And so Carol shows up, and Carol's swinging her hammer, taking it on to the Kotati, and L'Oreal is essentially just beating the crap out of everybody with her fist. She's essentially Hulk smashing every Kotati, and they're defending the public. And you find out that her sister is I mean, she's obviously built for war. She was bioengineered to be a weapon, and I stand firm that at the end of this series, or at the end of this Empire tie-in, I think L'Oreal is going to be the next accuser. I think she will take the mantle of the accuser. I think she'll stick around. I think she's going to be a main figurehead in Captain Marvel within the series. I don't think she's just going to go away. I think she will be prominent in the series after the Empire run.
Right. Well, and even though this is a direct Empire tie-in, this is still Kelly Thompson's Captain Marvel book. Like, she's still in control of what's happening here. And so she's obviously planting seeds that are going to carry through after this event is done.
100%.
So I think you're right.
100%. So I don't remember how this one ends. I mean, I know that they... Oh, no, I do. Never mind. I do remember. So, they beat the shit out of Kotati in Central Park, and then she's finally like, hey, I really need you to just stay inside. She tells her sister, like, please chill out. And so she goes, Captain Marvel at the end of that fight goes, and she's kind of like, throughout the entire book, she's dealing with this idea that she thinks that the hammer itself is influencing her decisions, which, that's not a good thing. And so she wants to get to the bottom of the hammer itself, about the city that got destroyed in the first issue, and finding out if it really was her sister or not. So she decides to do a little bit of recruiting. So she goes over to see Stephen Strange, Dr. Strange, and he essentially makes copies of the hammer and its energy and gives it to a couple of Carol's friends. And at that point, we see that Rhodey, War Machine, Spider-Woman, and Hazmat all get basically digital download hammers, and they become like pseudo accusers.
Yep.
And so they're all, at the end of the issue, they're all going out with Carol to find out what the hell's going on, and if there's really this dissent happening within the alliance of Kree and scroll. So that's where it gets left, and it's a badass last panel. And we know that the cover for the next Captain Marvel it's fire. It's straight up fire. It's all those accusers. Really yeah. So that's Captain Marvel. Next up, Avengers. You want to kick off this one a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So we've basically got two different stories, or two different, viewpoints of what are happening to various Avengers during the actual invasion. One part is following Dr. Nemesis, Luke Cage, and Vision in Central Park, where a big giant plant monster pops out of that big shrubbery that Vision was initially inspecting. And we get some nice fun action, but I don't know. To me, it was just sort of like, hey, look, here's some action. I think where we really get some good narrative is when we go to Mexico, where I can't remember. It's Wonder Man, Black Canary, I think. Mm-hmm. Is it just them two?
Quicksilver and
Quicksilver's there as well.
There's somebody else that's kind of the voice of reason, if you will.
I can't remember, and I think it's just those three because I'm only seeing those three on panel right now.
Okay.
Either way, I think we get some good narrative here where, essentially the Kree and the Skrull are thinking that they're fighting Wonder Man and Black Canary, Quicksilver, and we start to see that this alliance, I know we've seen it in other parts, but we really start to see that this alliance is not super tightly knit.
No.
A lot of we get some bickering back and forth.
There's a lot of infighting.
Yeah, at one point a Skrull says this is a temporary alliance at best. Once the war is over, the Skrull Empire will reassert its dominance. And, we really see that kind of starting to fall apart.
Let me ask you this question. I know it's, you're still describing the book or telling us about the book, but do you see this alliance holding fast after this event?
No.
It can't, right?
No, I don't think so. It goes against, I think, a lot of history between the Skrull and the Kree. Honestly, what I think is we might have some type of pseudo hybrid alliance that stays together, and then
like a group that just stays together, but the entirety of it doesn't.
Right. So we'll have, say a centralized Kree-Skrull alliance based out of one place, but then you'll still have like Kree and Skrulls that are kind of rebelling against that back to their own bases. Rogue
sets that are just not playing nice. That kind of happened in, I don't know if you've read it yet, but that kind of happened in Donny Cates' Death of the Inhumans.
Yeah.
You have a group of Kree that are sent out into the far reaches of the galaxy, and they're these like just extremist Krees, which is really, you can't say that lightly because Kree are fucking nuts. So that they go out, and then when they come back to their home planet, it's been destroyed, and they're like, nah, and they carry out their own form of justice, even if it's against what the current Kree at the time are going at. So I think you're right. I think moving forward past this event, there are going to be numerous radical groups of Kree and Skrull and probably Kotati that are they're not going to have it.
Yeah.
So whatever gets accomplished, I'm sure will be undone fairly quickly, which sucks, but there is no balance in comics. There's always chaos.
That's true.
So,
the second half of this book. Okay.
Yeah, second half. Go for it.
I was going to say the second half of this book, it literally feels like they just took the canceled Savage Avengers tie-in and then just slapped it into the back of this book.
I agree with you 100%. And I had that criticism on number 1.
Yeah. So we've got the rest of the plot taking place in the Savage Lands with Kazar and Brother Voodoo and Scarlet Witch.
Black Knight.
Black Knight as well, and then Kazar's. Yeah, I mean,
kind of,
yeah. So, honestly, like this is just over half of the rest of the book, and I can't really tell you what happened, and I read it twice in the past 3 days. The art is fantastic. Like, I'm looking through here, and there's essentially a Khazar's wife, what I think her name is Shanna, something like that, has been possessed by the Kotati, and Brother Voodoo and Scarlet Witch try to use their magic to essentially
mind assault her.
Yeah, and the art for this is really fantastic. It looks really good, but just not a lot is happening. They're kind of fighting. Like, what I'm not sure what the point is here. I'm not sure how this drives the plot of Empire, which is really frustrating because this is a co-headlined event with the Avengers, right?
Right.
So far, I haven't seen any Avenger besides Black Panther really doing much of anything. Especially not in the Avengers titled tie-in book.
Right. It's Avengers B team essentially.
It is. And at first I was excited about that because it's really cool to see some of these other people involved, right? Like, see Brother Voodoo that you don't get to see a lot. They're bringing Black Knight. Obviously that's a Eternals movie kind of a thing. They're trying to get him
who's
back
the Black
involved
Knight?
again.
Yeah.
But this whole Khazar thing, I don't get it. I don't understand why.
I think we again. I mean, this was planned, but you're right. This is essentially the second half of this book is Savage Avengers Empire.
I really wonder. I truly wonder if this was titled Savage Avengers and then it got shoved together and then just put under the Avengers title.
I don't know. I will say though, at the end of the book I did like the end of the book. Again, if I like a comic if I get a no shit moment, and it was beautifully delivered, even though I know nothing about Khazar. And again, spoilers, dude gets wrecked.
Yes.
I forget who stabs him. Who stabs him? Is it his wife? No.
No. It's just one of the plant.
So one of the Kotatis.
One of the Kotatis, yeah.
Dude straight up gets, like, straight through the heart, just from the back, just dead, dude.
Yeah.
Just meat. So that's how that issue ends.
So now we've got 3 dead major players. I mean, I don't know if Khazar's a major player, but he's somebody.
I mean, he's a major player in the Agents of Wakanda, but that book has been canceled, so
right.
I don't know. Anyway, so that's that book. Oh, dude, this one's gonna be good. Empire X-Men, number 3 of 4. Let me just say that I know that Hickman has spread out the writing of this book, but this book in general feels more planned out than, again, we harken back to issue 10 X-Men and how just like so random, and again, we know everything that was planted in X-Men 10 will have consequences and will come back. But as for Empire, I feel like this issue has so much more weight in the Empire storytelling than issue 10 of X-Men. I feel like issue 10 to me was Hickman going like, please don't fuck with my X-Men. I'll do a tie-in. And they're like, okay. And then he started writing the tie-in, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna mess with your X-Men anyway. So just do it. And he was like, damn it. But anyway, I digress. Issue 3 was probably one of my favorite books this week. It wasn't my top pick, but it was definitely one of my favorites. I mean, you had everything in this book again. You had comedy, you had some serious shit go down, you had action, zombies, zombie Kotati, we find out. Apparently the zombies can turn Kotati into Kotati zombies. You've got magic. Magic, to me, she is hyping up to be a major character within the mythos of X-Men, even more than she already is now. Like, I think she has potential to literally jump out of New Mutants in the next year or so and just be X-Men. You know what I mean? Because they just used her so heavily in these issues. Like, she is so prominent in this tie-in. She's very prominent in the X series outside of New Mutants. She's in New Mutants, but she constantly has been jumping to
she's in almost every single book now.
I know, and then she's in Strange Academy is a teacher, you know, like
That's true.
she's growing up, and I love it. I absolutely love it. But she goes through some major shit in this book, just like the last one she kind of did. I feel like this book is really about magic, to be absolutely honest.
Yeah.
So we're fighting again. We're still fighting the Kotati, but we find out that the Kotati can be infected by the mutant zombies as zombies now, and they work as a unit. And essentially, all the zombies are going towards this giant plant base thing that landed in the last issue, and they're trying to get into the center of it to essentially infect it. So while that's going down, we've got our all psychic gang that came from Krakoa just kicking ass in Krakoan armor, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's what I was about to say, that they all deck out Krakoan armor.
Yeah, they all got Iron Man Krakoa armor. So they're kicking some major ass. And while this is happening, Magic is trying to find the source of, I think, the zombie invasion, if I'm not, again, I can't remember.
They're trying to find what it is. Let me find it. I'm glad this happened, because I feel very differently about this book.
Okay.
I'm not, like, literally my first note is, where exactly are we going with this? Do I think is this book full of action? Yes. Mm-hmm. Is it full of, like, badass, like, magic moments? Absolutely. Like, if you're a Magic fan and you're not reading this book, you're making a big mistake.
You're missing out big time.
And I'm not even talking about what happens in the end. Mm-hmm. It's funny. It's got great little nods to characters, like when Nightcrawler's just like, "Oh hey, yo, like I'll go take care of shit."
Yeah.
Cool. But like what are we doing here?
Well, I think I can answer that question, or at least I can theorize to that question. I think what's going on again. So while let's backtrack. Whoa.
Okay.
So one, we're looking for the source of what's going on the island. So that's what Magic is doing. Mm-hmm. The horticultural, I'm saying that word wrong. The old ladies.
The old ladies, yes,
are basically trying to figure out a way to kill the Kotati,
mm-hmm.
and get samples at the same time.
Right.
And then you've got the rest of the X-Men who are just trying to fucking survive. And so let's start with the old ladies. So the old ladies basically work with Krakoa to find a serum or a liquid that can dissolve or kill the Kotati. And their answer is once they make it, they fill up retro 90s super soakers with the liquid. And that's where we get Nightcrawler picking up one and poofing onto the island and shooting everything with a super soaker, which I think is hilarious. One hand you have a sword, the other hand is a super soaker.
Yes.
Thought that was great. So there's that. And then you've got Magic again trying to find the source of why there are zombie mutants on the island. And we go left and right, and we finally find the staff that Scarlet Witch used to resurrect the zombies. And before she can stop herself, someone's telling Magic, "Don't touch that."
It's one of the Cuckoo Sisters. And she does it, and she goes full on Demon Queen. She goes full on Zombie Queen of New Genosha.
Yeah.
Genosha.
Which again was like, oh shit, and yeah, I think that's how the book. No, that's not how the book ends, but that's one of the kind of pseudo endings. And then, we phase back to the fact that there are Krakoa or Kotati zombies and mutant zombies trying to get into the middle of this giant spore, essentially. Yep. And we come to find out that what it is like a super weapon or like a giant Kotati monster.
Giant brain, what it is.
Yep. And it's being drawn to it's being infected by the zombies. So the issue ends with a giant brain Kotati zombie monster busting out of this egg. So going back to your question, where are we going? I think, obviously we're going to fend off the Kotati at the end because we have one more issue. I think Magic is going to come to terms with her demons. And then I also think, and I got this from Comic Book Herald, but I think we're going to get a little bit more Scarlet Witch in this book. I do. I really do. I think we're going to get Hickman's answer of why he hates Scarlet Witch so much. And we might get a demon zombie magic queen fighting Scarlet Witch and being like, yo, you done fucked up, girl.
Yeah.
So I have hopes for that. It probably won't happen. I'm sure that Scarlet Witch will stick with Avengers Empire tie-in. But I can only hope that we get a little bit more of Hickman hating on Scarlet Witch in the last issue and being like, yo, why did you make zombies?
Yeah.
So
there are a couple of things that I found very interesting. So when she picks up the staff, for some reason we get extreme detail about exactly what is making up this staff. Mm-hmm. She says it is the World Tree Root, which bridges the realms of life and death, the Tri-Crown of the Chaos Godhead, which will pervert the laws of nature, and the Eye of Alak Ra, the Void Spider, from whom blood weaves life. Basically, what that sounds like to me is that this staff gives her the ability to control life and death, bring things back to life, and completely destroy any type of law of nature that there is on Earth.
So it's like better than the Infinity Gauntlet, essentially.
I don't know if it goes into like time and spatial
right.
manipulation.
Like,
but I mean,
three of the four knuckle, or three of the five.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knuckles. Whatever.
So it could certainly be that, who was the main writer on this? Ed Brisson, I think. Like, it could be that he was just having fun and trying to like come up with like cool little names for what was going on. But I don't think that's what's happening.
Hickman would not let that fly, because he's going to use whatever happens in this. Let me just say this right now. Whatever happens in this series, Hickman's going to use.
Yes, and so I think that this stuff is probably is going to come up later. So
100%.
Yeah, that one page splash where it's just kind of her holding the staff over her head, and it gives you the spiel. I mean, it literally shows her resurrecting one of the like officer Kotati while she's doing these things. I think we're going to get some direct tie-ins to that.
I think, we've got 3 major events coming down the road outside of Empire. Ten of Swords, King in Black, or Black King,
King in Black,
and the Rise of the Phoenix. I don't think Marvel's showing all the cards on that. I think there's going to be major repercussions within Avengers with that happening.
Could be.
No doubt. So this staff will be making another appearance within the X-Men somewhere. Whether it's with Null or whatever the hell's going on in Ten of Swords, or with the Phoenix. So sounds like I enjoyed it. You were kind of like meh, but that's the point of the show.
Exactly.
All right, next up. All right, Captain America. I'm like 50-50 on you. I think we've switched. I'm sure you really like this issue, and I was kind of like, it's okay.
No, that's how I feel. I feel like, man, it's okay. If you're a big Captain America fan, like you're really into Captain America, like you're really gonna enjoy this miniseries. I think.
Book, yeah.
It is a great homage to classic Captain America feeling. At one point he's sitting around a fire, or sitting around after a battle with a couple of the soldiers, talking about a battle during World War II, and how the Nazis came up with a gun to stop him. They squirted some weird tar crap on him, and the only way he survived were the everymen, the normal soldiers that were with him. And that's great. Like, that's classic Captain America, where he takes the light away from him and onto other people.
Right, which is what Captain America should be doing.
Yeah, and so it's definitely fan service to Captain America, but I don't have a problem with that.
We do get a major reveal, though, on this again, with the whole idea that the Kotati can literally infect anybody and pose as them. They're essentially, it's like they have the strength of the Kree and the resolve of the Kree, and then they have the shape shifting and deception of the
of the scroll.
And so what we have is that one of the soldiers that was with Cap has infected somebody that's in the UN, and they essentially invade the UN while deceiving everybody, and they just take over essentially the council of the world, and declare war again, which they kind of already have, but they do it on a more pseudo like political level, and take over the UN council and start declaring war on other nations. That part was pretty cool. And then we have also that with the wizard, if you will, of the Kotati that has basically kind of taken over the movement in South America, kind of like he's like rebelling against the Messiah almost, and is just kind of starting his own little war with this giant mountain that's like bigger than like an entire continent. So we get that too. So we're gonna have to fight that in the next and last issue of Captain America. I wasn't head over heels on this issue, but it did give us plenty of stuff to work on for the next issue.
Yep. I think to me this is a really good example of doing a tie-in, off series tie-in that won't penalize you for skipping it, but will really reward people that pick it up.
Yeah, it enhances the experience of what's going on and just kind of the spread out nature of the event, even though, I think like 4 titles got skipped, got taken out. So Omnibus should be really fun when this comes out of the event, and like seeing the work that was finished and unfinished work and seeing where they were going to go.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right, next up. All right, so we're out of Empire, and we are into Venom, and holy shit, again, Donny Cates, it's like he's on cocaine, and he's just like, what do I do next? And we definitely get that feeling in this issue. So in the previous issue, Venom, the Maker, and Dylan got sucked into the Maker's ultimate reality, which we thought was previously destroyed, but apparently it is not.
It is now taken over by symbiotes.
And you get a symbiote, and you get a symbiote, and you get a symbiote. And we find that out in this issue that the Avengers of this ultimate reality all have symbiote suits or infused in them. So you've got a Captain America that looks kind of symbiotic.
Yeah.
You've got an Iron Man, a Thor, a She-Hulk.
Yeah.
All of them. So they show up to this place, and Dylan and Brock are there, and they're like, "Where the fuck are we?" And the symbiote Avengers show up and tell them basically, "You need to come with us. They ain't something right with you."
Oh, hold on. You're skipping the whole first.
What did I skip? What did I skip?
So you're skipping the whole fight with Virus before that.
I thought that happened in the middle of their conversation.
This is why you need to pull out your books and have them in
I
your hand.
don't want to do that. Wait, no. I thought he shows up, the Avengers show up, then Virus shows up and is like, "I'll fight you."
Nope, they fight Virus, and then... okay, listen. Okay.
All right. I'm pulling it out because you're calling me out.
So, one thing that I really like about what's going on...
You're right.
I know, I'm right. I'm never wrong. One thing I really like is... and it's just... it's so Donny Cates. He literally says, "You know what? Venom's cool. He's got some cool powers. But I'm going to make up some hive mind type bullshit where I can just say Venom gets any power he wants. You want wings to burst out of your back so you can fly? Yeah, I get that shit.
Whoa. Yeah,
you get a brand new Kamehameha? Yeah, I get that.
Wait, well, hold on. So, yes, that happened in issue 5. He was able, because he learned from the hive mind that they now know existed.
Donny Cates still wrote that, though.
I understand. You're right. But his Kamehameha, which we will get to in this, the symbiote learned from the hive mind of this reality.
Correct.
Which essentially, from my understanding, the symbiotes in this reality are not... They are fabricated, correct?
They're
or
synthetic.
just the maker's synthetic, right?
I'm unclear.
Anyway, so you're right. So they show up to this reality while they're trying to figure it out. Virus is like, hey, I'm still here. And so Eddie Brock dons the suit of Venom. They have a little tussle. And in this tussle, while Brock is essentially getting his ass kicked, Eddie's symbiote is learning new things from the mind, the hive mind of this reality. And in doing so, he learns how to blast out energy out of his symbioteness.
Yes, Kamehameha, if you will.
You would think Virus was dead after that. No.
Nope.
So while that happens, they escape, and as they escape, they are confronted, and here's where I was at, by the Symbiote Avengers. Pretty dope. Where everyone is donning some form of symbiote, and essentially they're not necessarily threatening him, but they're saying like, look, man, I don't know who you are, but you need to come with us. And Brock's not kind of having it, and it's looking like they're going to have a tussle, and then guess who shows up? Virus again. And while Virus and the Symbiote Avengers are fighting, Brock and Dylan find a way to get away while this is going down, and both Virus and the Avengers are kicking some major ass. And at some point, Virus has had enough, and he blows the head off of Captain America's symbiote. And if you were reading this digitally and you were kind of doing like the tight part of it, you wouldn't see what happens, and it's pretty jarring. But we find out that Cap's fine.
Yeah.
And he regenerates his entire upper half of his body and an arm. And they capture Virus, and they decide to take him to their leader, who we find out is Codex, who we still don't know who that is yet. But while we're doing that, Eddie and Dylan escape to the sewers, and they seem to be caught at the end of that little panel in the sewers. And the silhouettes of who's in there kind of look familiar. We kind of get a better idea of that. And then we kind of go back and forth between Dylan and Brock being pursued, if you will, and Virus going to council with Codex. So the Symbiote Avengers take Virus over to Codex. We kind of get a good look at Codex now, who looks like a gothic Slipknot version of Venom. I think that's my best.
Exactly right.
That's my best description of him.
Yeah.
And Codex is like, let me see his face. And they pull. Here's one thing. They say in describing Virus that he cannot survive without this suit of armor that he has. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that. Again, I don't know my comic book history on this. I don't know if that plays into another Venom character from previous issues. But it seems to me like that's a big clue. But I don't know what that means.
I think it is. I don't either, but I think that's a big clue.
And so they take the helmet off, and it almost looks like his head kind of comes off. And Codex looks at him and goes, I have no idea who that is.
So this is the other part where Donnie is literally like purposely and intentionally fucking with us.
Yep.
Like he has this big panel of Codex, so we can say here is Codex in a first appearance or cameo, whatever the hell you want to say. But then they tighten up the boxes and make them really small. And in just one panel, you only get one box. You only get one word or one bubble.
Phrase, yeah.
So remove his helmet. Then an entire another box, and it's a Virus trying to say something, but it's just squiggles. Yeah. They pull the helmet off in another tiny square, and it's almost looks like a helmet under a helmet. Clearly doesn't look human.
Yeah.
We get a fourth box of Codex with just 3 dots, and then a fifth one drawn almost like a funny book cartoon, like a straight up strip cartoon. And he's like, you think he's about to say his name, and he goes, I have no idea who this man is.
This man is in his face. He's like, what?
Like,
yeah, he just has no idea. He's got a raised eyebrow, and you're like, wait, what? And the previous issue has driven Venom #1 from 2018 up like a fucking rocket, and everyone's buying it. I bought it. I bought the book. Thinking, hey, if it hits, it hits. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I didn't buy it for $30, but I, definitely bought it. And we don't get the payoff in this issue.
Nope.
Donny Cates manipulating the comic book sales. Back issues.
He knows what he's doing, and he's doing it really well. And
100%.
I love it. I think it's awesome.
Dude, he's kicking some major ass. So then we fuck. Whoa, I don't mean that. We don't fuck. We we go back to Venom in the sewers, and there are, a group of guys essentially telling Brock, hey, you need to come with us. We have your best interests. Who are you? And, he's kind of like, well, you tell me first, fool, before I tell you. And so these guys basically say, like, they're kind of, they're part of the resistance. They're agents. And now, we see this panel of essentially a Venom agent, and we're all thinking it's, what's his name? And he says it in here. Flash. Flash Thompson.
Yep.
And lo and behold, when the agent removes her symbiote helmet, it is Annie, who is the mother of Dylan, Eddie Brock's estranged girlfriend. I don't think it was his wife.
I don't know.
So she's in this alternate universe as a Venom, and there's multiple Venom agents behind her. So the issue ends with Annie basically saying, "Hey, what's up, Eddie?" And Dylan's going like, "Who's that?"
Which I think is double crazy, because not only are our main characters pulled into another alternate universe, this pretty much goes to coincide that this is going to be the 616 Annie. Or else why would she recognize Eddie Brock?
Correct.
Right? And
100%.
so why do we have more characters from the 616 chilling in 1610 right now?
Well, and like you said, when we were talking, you were like, dude, I thought the Ultimate Universe was destroyed. And I'm like, apparently not, dude. And so I guess the only thing to be said is that either 616 Reed Richards or Reed Richards that were created by 616 Richards.
You're talking about the Council of the Richards?
Correct.
Yes. So I went back and looked it up. So the Council of the Richards still exists after Secret Wars, and basically when Fantastic Four gets canceled after Secret Wars, and they say, oh, the Fantastic Four are off creating the multiverse again. Apparently he recreates the Ultimate Universe, but doesn't tell the Council of Reeds, essentially, that it's there, because he doesn't want the Maker to go back and try to take it back.
But somehow so Ron says he still thinks that this is Noel's universe. So could be. We'll see. We'll just have to wait and see. All I know is this issue was straight up bonkers. Absolutely loved it. And I'm going to go ahead and say it, even though there are some other books on here that I absolutely loved, like X-Men. This is my pick of the week.
Nice.
Just saying right now. There are other issues that are, 9.9, but this is a 10 out of 10 for me.
I do want to say one small detail that I thoroughly enjoyed about this book is the lettering.
Mm-hmm.
At literally on one page, between 3 or 4 different panels, you have Virus talking to Eddie, you have Eddie talking to Virus, you have Eddie talking to the symbiote, and then the symbiote talking to Eddie, all on one page, and you never get confused on who's talking to who.
Yeah, they did a really good job on that.
And so I think that was absolutely spot on.
For sure. All right, next up. Again, this one was a consideration for the pick of the week. It still kind of is, but I picked Venom. I gotta stick to my guns. X-Force number 11.
I need you to take the lead on this one.
Okay. Why, you didn't enjoy it?
No, it's not that. I just
so confusing.
I literally have 2 notes. My 2 notes are Russian doll style killers and lol at Kid Omega getting killed again.
Okay, so yeah, you kind of feel bad for him. So we find that in this issue that Colossus is essentially hanging it up. He's like, I don't want to be an X-Men anymore.
I'm done.
And the X-Men are like, bro, once an X-Men, always an X-Men. And you can't die anymore because we can just bring your ass back. So essentially, he's out on a farm in the Savage Lands, raising some crops. And in the middle of all of this, we have the Russian super soldiers brought back to Krakoa. One, I don't know why we're doing that still. I don't understand. I mean, I get it. They want to know their enemy. Krakoa wants to know their enemy. The nation of Krakoa has to get that insight, but do it somewhere else. don't do it on the island,
I just don't.
right?
Yeah. I mean, yes,
Like,
I get what you're saying, but I just don't know that they have a choice.
they do. They've got, they have facilities growing drugs and all kinds of shit. They've got boats that bring mutants to Krakoa. Do it on the boat. Don't do it on the island, and you'll find out why I'm so frustrated. So essentially, they're dissecting these Russian super soldiers, and we come to find out that, again, the humans have bioengineered their humans, and quite literally, we have Russian nesting dolls, or is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Russian nesting dolls, where the super soldier dies, then a mini version pops out and can kill you. If you kill that, a smaller one pops out and can kill you, and so on and so forth. And I think there are like 6 of them on the island in the healing grounds, like, because they're Beast and 2 other mutants. I can't remember the other one. One of them is the girl that sits in front of the Krakoa
Sage.
supercomputer, Sage. They're all like doing this dissection, and then they find out that one of them has a mini baby nesting doll superhuman popping out. Wouldn't you think if you have 6 bodies on the island that 5 more are gonna pop out?
Yeah.
So, you know, again, this happens. One of the mutants gets killed. They go chase after this mini me super soldier, and 5 more pop out of the dead bodies, and they're gonna go run rampant on the island, which they do. And in this entire thing, what comes to mind is security on Krakoa is bad. It is god awful. This little baby super soldier can literally weave himself around throughout the entire island. We find out that he figures out where Professor X is on the island. Thank God for Black Tom, or is that his name?
Black Tom Cassidy.
Black Tom Cassidy. He's got the foresight to be like, hey, Professor X, let's hide you because we're getting invaded again.
Here,
yeah, so he gets buried in the ground with Cassidy, and so when the super soldier can't figure out what the hell's going on, he goes into Professor X's room, and lo and behold, there's the sword of Cerebro. Shit. So while this is happening, Colossus gets a distress call like, hey, get your ass back to Krakoa. We're getting our asses kicked. And so he goes back and he starts fighting with everybody, and he's like, what the fuck's going on? And it's just chaos, basically. And I don't remember how it gets resolved in the sense of I think they kind of just beat the soldiers to a pulp, essentially, until there's none existent. But one gets away. One gets away and takes the Cerebro sword and is going to a Krakoan gate. And who's at the Krakoan gate? Omega Kid. And he's having a fling with one of the Cuckoo sisters. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I think so.
And he's like, score, I'm going to date one of these chicks. And they kind of make out. And he's like, all right, I'm going on a date. And he's going for one of the gates. And a sword plunges through his chest. It's the Cerebro sword. And it's a little mini Russian doll soldier. And he kicks him into the gate. And Omega's kid and the sword's body land in Russia, where I forget his name, but this is the person that picks up the sword is Colossus's brother.
Is it?
It is, and I had to do a little digging. I had to do some Comic Book Herald digging, but apparently Colossus's brother is a mutant. I forget his name. I think it's Michael or Mikael, whatever his last name is. Rasputin. And he's got the Cerebro sword now, and apparently this guy is a reality warper and not a good guy.
Yeah.
And so this guy essentially gets the sword at the end of the issue, and this is, I think, this is a true Ten of Swords Path to issue, because it's dealing with the Cerebro sword.
Yeah.
And from my understanding of the Cerebro sword, it essentially has the same I don't want to say powers, but it has the same abilities in the sense that it can sense mutants. And so this guy basically has a Cerebro in his hand, and he has access to the island. He has access to all of the backups of mutants. This dude has the backup plans to Krakoa, essentially.
Oh, wow.
In his hands, yep. So that's how the issue ends. We're going to find out what happens next. Clearly, we're going to Russia. I will say the cover is very misleading. Ooh.
Yes.
It's like, oh, we're going to have a showdown with Omega Red and Colossus. Omega Red is nowhere to be found. We know that he's not going to be showing up until, we're assuming, and I think it's safe to assume, he's going to be in Wolverine and Wolverine alone until Ten of Swords really builds up. But that was a very misleading cover, and a lot of people I know bought this book thinking that we were going to get some Omega Red action. So I'm anticipating a lot of YouTubers that do pick of the weeks are going to be like, you know what, I'm dropping X-Force because there was no Omega Red, and yeah. I'm not upset about it. I thought it was a fun issue, and again, that oh shit moment of Russian nesting doll super soldiers, that's fucked up. Like, it's funny, but as you read it, you're like, that's really gross. Like, ugh. And then at the end of the issue, like we said, you're kind of starting to feel bad a little bit for Omega Kid. He's died, I think, in every issue of X-Force since he's been introduced. Like, no joke. He's died every time. And I'm hoping kind of hope it stays that way, where he just continuously dies, and there might be some repercussions there. Like, at some point, are you really Omega Kid at that point?
Kid
Omega, and also, can you really, like, do you want to do that with an Omega level mutant? Like, if an Omega level mutant starts to forget who he or she is, then you really got a problem on your hands, because that's a lot of power for somebody that has no idea what the hell they're doing. Yeah. And we don't know if that's going to be a consequence, but I'm just kind of theorizing that might happen here soon. So that is X-Force.
X-Force.
All right. The book we've been waiting for
like 6 months.
Through the Dawn of X, outside the main title, is Marauders 11. We finally find out what the hell is going on with Kitty Pryde.
And it's lame as hell. I'm just going to go ahead and say that right now.
Is it lame as hell? Let me ask you this. It's lame as hell in your mind. Mm-hmm. But is it only lame as hell because of what they've given us? Like, do we really believe, and we're going to get into it, but do we really believe that that's what it is? Yes. You think it is? You don't think there's any more, like... Nope. You just think it was just a quick solve?
I think it was just attention getter. That way we can divert the series in other ways and then bring her back when we're ready for her.
Gotcha. So if you don't remember, Shaw killed Katie in like issue 7? 6. Yep. And she's been dead for a while, and Pride has had issues going through the gates, and people in doing that, people have been kind of afraid that she also has probably had some issues. She may have issues resurrecting, but no one never knew. Well, we found that out after she died, that they couldn't resurrect her. They couldn't get her through the 5. They couldn't bring her back. And so they tried and tried and tried and tried, and they tried 18 times, which Nightcrawler has an issue with. You'd think they'd continue to try over and over again. And so in doing this, before they were basically giving up on it. And before they could give up on it totally, Katie's little dragon friend, I forget the name of it. Lockheed shows up on Emma Frost's door, and she does like a little psychic tape recorder messaging, traveling back in time of his mind to see what the hell was going on. And she finds out that Shaw is the reason why she's dead. And she loses it, like, very upset. And it's almost looking like she's going to storm over to the Black Keep and go kill him. But she has a moment of clarity, if you will, and decides that, nope, we're going to do this the civil way. But there will be revenge. And so she goes to Professor X and says, hey, we got to try to resurrect my Red King one more time. And X is like, all right, we're going to do it. But if it doesn't work, I got to start working on other people. We got to get other mutants here. So they start the process again, and it's looking like it's going to fail. The husk, or her body, is formed, and it's not breaking out of its shell. And so Emma decides to put her hand on the egg and try to connect with the husk and try to say like, hey, let's get this going. And what she finds out is the reason why she hasn't been able to be brought back is that her powers essentially are prohibiting her from physically breaking out of the shell, which all mutants have to do in order to become resurrected. Like, it's like, you from this issue I get is nobody can tamper with the egg except for the husk or mutant that's inside of it. So if they don't break through, no dice. And so what it was is she couldn't break through because her powers wouldn't let her. It just wasn't happening.
Well, they say exactly, Kate doesn't smash barriers, she ignores them. And
Right.
so literally she just was trying to phase through the cocoon the whole time.
And you can't do that. Yeah. Which you can't, but she ends up doing anyway.
Well, no, she puts her hand through it and then Emma
it
pulls
breaks.
out.
Okay. So Emma's essentially able to get her out and like jumpstart her, and she gets her memories back from Professor X, and it's like, oh, I'm back, and basically she's like, so what are we gonna do? When are we gonna get our revenge? And that's kind of how the issue. I feel like that's how the issue ends. Is there something? Am I missing at the end, or is that it?
Nope, that is it. The last thing that she says is, Shaw hit first, didn't he? And she said, no matter whatever has been broken, we'll fix it together. And then you actually get a preview of the next cover in the back, and it's her like holding up her knuckles, and tattooed on her knuckles it says "Kill Shaw."
I mean, that's kind of cool, dude. I mean, and that's the other question we have is, if they're going to kill Shaw, is he really going to get killed, or is he going to get exiled? Is he going to meet Sabretooth? What are we going to do? Or are we going to wipe his memory of this whole encounter after they kill him? That is one intriguing thing about the book. But I will say, I'm with you. It's kind of lame if this is it. If it was just, oh, her powers just didn't let her do it. That kind of sucks. Because I feel like a lot of the fan theories of why she couldn't phase through were so much better than how this landed. Like, is she a clone that Mr. Sinister made? Is she a Skrull? Like, what's going on?
Right.
And it was just her powers. So I'm glad we found out. I'm not impressed with what it was, which kind of sucks. But that doesn't mean I'm not picking up Marauders number 12. But it was kind of not satisfying.
Yeah.
So that's Marauders. All right, next up. All right, so this is a book that you didn't read. I'll go real quick on this one. Again, we have Sin Eater Part 2, Sin Rising. We get introduced to the Lethal Legion. I can't remember. I don't know. It's Grey Gargoyle, Energy Man, I think, and like Torpedo, and some other, I think, like Mr. Hyde. I could be wrong on those names, but essentially they're doing like a heist on some kind of like hydrogen or some energy collider thing. In the middle of their heist, Sin Eater shows up and blows them all away, kills them all, and Spider-Man finds out in this little tussle that the Sin Eater is not killing people. It looks like he's killing people, but what he's doing is he's shooting out and absolving their sin and all their deeds, their bad deeds, and he's absolving their powers. So, I don't know what the powers of these bad guys are, but they all get taken away when they get shot by this guy. So they're taken to an insane asylum, basically, and they're all, there's a reporter that's trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and the doctor there, who ends up, the person that's actually running the facility that they're in is Norman Osborn, and they're finding out that all these criminals they don't have a bad bone in their body. They're like super helpful around the facility. They apologize for things that they've done to the point where it's almost scary. Like, they lose their shit. They're like, I should have died, not the people that I killed. Like, they're totally torn up after the Sin Eater gets a hold of them and absolves them of their sin. But he leaves guilt in their body as well. So they're just crazy in the sense that they can't wrap their minds around the fact that they did those deeds, like any normal person would. So we end the issue with these four criminals basically losing their minds in innocence, which is really weird to say. And so the reporter's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. So she ends up leaving the facility afterwards, like saying like something's up. She gets in her car, and then poof, like a freaking ninja, the Sin Eater's behind her, and he's like, "What's up?" Boom, and that's how the issue ends. Is the reporter gets shot by the Sin Eater, and so we don't know where that's going to take us. So that's how this issue ends. I'm really digging it. It's really dark. I haven't read the other beginning parts of Spider-Man for this, so I don't. All I've heard is that from issue 1 to 44 essentially has been kind of cartoony and like, bleh. And this is like totally dark, almost Batman-esque. Like it's just like, ugh. It's getting gritty. So I'm really excited for the next issue.
Nice.
All right, next up is Something Killing the Children. This is on you.
Oh boy. So I actually read this first in all of the stack of books just because I could not wait. I absolutely could not wait. Yes. And it was actually going to be my pick of the week. So I read on Wednesday, Thursday, and then something happened today. This lost its place as pick of the week. So I
wonder what happened.
This is runner up here. It's really hard to,
Yeah, just give us Spark Notes.
No, I was just saying it's really hard to find anything bad to say about any of the. So, essentially, what we get in this book is somewhat of an origin story for one of our main characters, for the main girl, Erica, that is hunting the monsters that are killing the children. We see that her family, her mom and her dad, were actually killed by monsters while she was hiding in a closet. And she realizes that if she doesn't do something, that monster's going to kill her too. So she actually gets a giant cleaver and kills the monster.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And it's at that time that I guess one of the members of the House of Slaughter, which is this private group essentially that hunts these monsters, was on the way, tracking this monster, trying to kill it. Wasn't able to get there before it killed her parents, but just as she kills the monster, shows up. And so we get this, it's literally just a 2-page glimpse into her origin, which is kind of how James Tynion is working here. It's, and I've said it a lot on every other episode of the podcast that we've done, but one really, really good thing about this writing is that it gives you an answer to, sometimes even 3, to questions that you had before, but it always makes sure to replace those questions or replace those answers with more questions. Yeah. And so, it's always satisfying. Like you're always watching. The pace is really good. At the beginning of the book, we feel like maybe we're going to get a little bit of a break, and we just see 2 brothers walking through the forest. They don't know where their other brother is, and then literally you turn the page and it's, wait, is that blood? Schlink, and we're cut in half. Shit. And it's it's literally these. So in the climax of issue, I believe 7, the isn't confirmed, but basically like the mother monster is killed, but all of her children escape. And so her children are still out in the woods hunting children.
God dang.
And we really get, a nice little, what we think is a chill starter, and then all of a sudden it of course goes balls to the wall. After Erica's origin story, let's check my notes real quick. Oh yes. So basically Erica is in the hospital talking to, gosh, I can never remember the kid's name, talking to the main kid that is with her, the one that only one that survives from the initial attack. And someone comes running in and was like, hey, the sheriff is at the school, and we think that the monster's got another kid. And so it cuts to the school and the sheriff. And after he makes a brief visit talking to his brother, who's the coroner of the town, it cuts back to the kids. And so hard for me to remember these characters' names. Tommy, who is the brother of one of the victims earlier in the story, is out in the woods too because he's essentially given up. He stalked Erica and the kid and was essentially given the power by Erica to see these monsters. And so, he was kind of having a pity party moment out in the woods when all of a sudden these three brothers walk by and start getting slaughtered by the monsters.
Jesus.
Well, right as they all three die, one of them in Tommy's arms, the monsters run away and the sheriff shows up with a kid sliced in half sitting in his lap.
Dude, what?
And so the sheriff basically says, don't worry, no one else is going to get hurt, but I'm going to need you to put your hands on top of your head.
Oh, shit.
And so, it's... If you're a fan of Stranger Things, take besides the like 80s retro element, just the nuance, like kids, but like adventure and horror, but it's not like in your face gore, it's not in your face like monsters and ghouls and just like bloody pulpy grossness. It's just like really, really amazingly paced horror.
Gotcha.
And every issue feels like a movie. Every issue is just as good as the next one. I particularly enjoyed this issue because we got a little bit of an origin story for Erica, and I am very excited to see how much more we get.
Nice.
Very good book.
Well, to go to the next book, which does deal with gross, nasty, grotesque body horror, we have Immortal Hulk number 36. Dude. So in the previous issue, Hulk was kind of becoming like this, he's finally getting out of this rut and kind of being like a community hero. And he accidentally gets activated, or I won't say accidentally, I think it's on purpose, gets activated and emits a huge amount of gamma radiation like a bomb and blows up a neighborhood. So this issue basically follows up to that, gets us back to that. And the guy that touched the Hulk that made him blow up, I can't remember his name, but it's pretty safe to assume that it's the leader, who is a longtime nemesis of Hulk, disguised as this person, and he set the Hulk off to make him look like a bad guy. So this dude touched the Hulk and emitted a huge amount of gamma radiation, and his name is Rick. I don't know his full name, but he touched the Hulk, he blew up, and now the guy looks like this. Warning, if you don't like this shit, don't look. I don't know if you can see that, Nate.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
It is gross. But his body's all deformed, and everyone's like, ah! And the Hulk's like, dude, what did I do? And essentially, after this happens, it's like, all right, Hulk's public enemy number one, let's go. And throughout this entire time, Hulk is apologizing, going like, I didn't mean it, something went wrong, I'm so sorry. And a group of people show up. I think it's called... I don't know what the name of the team is. I know it's a well-known team, but it's these guys that are... It's like Absorbing Man, and I forget the name of the team, but they come to kick the Hulk's ass. And the entire time, the Hulk is just like, no, don't do it, don't hurt me. And they're just beating the shit out of him. And so the Hulk is just getting his ass kicked by this group, and the entire time
Ron says the Gamma Squad.
Gamma Squad, there you go. And the entire time this is happening, this Rick character is talking not like a normal human being. He's kind of going like, oh yeah, this is good, this is interesting. And the way he's talking, it sounds like it's the leader in disguise. And so he's kind of egging him on, but kind of in the background. And so he's basically waiting for the Hulk to blow up again. And as they're fighting, we have this other reporter that's been with the Hulk this entire time, that's been trying to figure out the mystery of the Hulk, telling the Gamma Squad, like, hey, don't fight him. He's apologizing. He didn't mean to do it. So while they're fighting, one of the characters, I think it's Absorbing Man, the Hulk rips off his arm and is like, I've had enough. and rips his arm off, and the guy's like, "Oh shit!" And one of the other members is like, "All right, that's it, you're done," and kind of bum rushes him and throws him through a tractor. And while this is going on, the so-called Rick McGee, gotcha, yeah, she's defending him the entire time, and throughout this entire interaction, this Rick guy, who is clearly the leader, is just kind of observing and like wanting something bad to happen, and I think he's just trying to egg it on. And Absorbing Man, while his body has been ripped in half, he's trying to figure out what he needs to do next, and he can kind of form, into any kind of, he can absorb any kind of energy, he can become anything, and he's like, what do I do? How do I defeat this person? And he goes, you know what? I got it. I'll become Gamma, or I'll absorb the Gamma. And he becomes this giant Gamma dude. And this is what the leader wants. Like he's clearly like, this is exactly what I wanted. So that's where that kind of ends. And then we kick back to the lab where, this force of Gamma, and again, I'm butchering this because I'm still reading. I've started this at 35, so I don't know everything that's going on in the book. But there's a facility that all of these Gamma-related characters are at, and there's this character that was introduced in the second issue. Doctor. I'm sure Ron can tell me who Dr. it is. I forget his name. Say again.
Dr. Fry.
Yeah, Dr. Fry, or Doc Simmons. He's been in this like tube, basically, that they've been monitoring him, and so they've been trying to figure out. They've been doing. Dr. Fry in the tube. Yep. He's been in this tube this entire time, and they haven't really been paying a lot of attention to him. And while they're kind of arguing, trying to figure out how to get the Hulk back, he breaks out, and he basically phases through the tube, or he burns the tube. And one of the doctors is standing in front of the tube, like they're arguing, and he just stops talking. He's like, huh! And then a hand comes through his mouth, and then his body literally just decays and dissolves in front of them. And It's the doctor going like, hello, long time no see, I'm breaking out. And so that's how this issue ends.
Nice.
And in his hand, what's cool is the last panel, Dr. Fry's hand is like sticking out. Rick Jones is the kid Banner saves when he becomes a Hulk originally. Oh, gotcha. When his hand's coming through the tube, the doctor's body again is like dissolving, but it's like floating away as it dissolves, right? So there's like a skull like floating away like a leaf in the sky. It's really creepy. It's just that panel I'm talking about. Like, it's gross. So
nice.
Fry is escaping, so that's the next issue, is 37. And then I think the next one we get to is the issue 0, more information on Banner's father, which I think is supposed to be pretty big. So I think if you're looking for any more, I don't know if it's a key, but it's an important issue. I would definitely pick it up, because I think it's gonna have some weight for sure. So that's Immortal Hulk 36. Again, if you're into body horror and gruesome, nasty, and then you're into the Hulk, this is definitely for you. The writing in it is excellent. Ewing is kicking ass. I have the first 2 hardcovers and I'm still reading them, but obviously when these come out, I immediately read. And I'm sure I'll probably get the omnibus when it comes out. There are 2 omnibuses that are, whenever they do get released, one is that Cosmic Donny Cates, hell yeah, and then whenever they do an Immortal Hulk omnibus, I'm definitely picking it up. So there's Immortal Hulk, and next is Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
Number 4.
This is Darth Vader with the subtitle fan service.
Oh, big time.
I'm
not mad about it. I'll tell you that.
No, I mean, I'm not mad about it. This is appealing to our generation, to our age. We were kids when the trilogy, the prequel trilogy started. So I always have a good fond memories of those movies, and so we're getting a lot of allusions to Padme and Anakin's past, which is fun. But I just don't know that you can write an entire Darth Vader series based off of fan service from movies. Like that's not why I bought this book. I get you do it for 1, do it for 2. On the 3rd one, I was like, and now we're here still doing it in the 4th. I'm just like, okay, let's get it over with.
They did it with a movie, dude. I mean, the last Star Wars movie was all fan service.
Well, okay, that's why people shat on it too.
I liked it.
I mean, it was okay.
Okay.
So,
I mean, it wasn't great, but I liked it.
Right.
Sorry. Continue.
So the one thing I don't like about these Darth Vaders is that they really feel like I feel like Greg Pak just sort of said, "I'm gonna write a trade, a 5-6 issue trade. You guys split it up however you want. I don't really give a shit. Like it's this is it feels like the story doesn't break in natural flows."
Let me just kind of jump in. I will say the first part of the book, I totally agree with you in that sentiment.
Well, and it's not even necessarily like this issue. It's like, well, we start this issue. Oh wait, okay, yeah, this big monster's attacking. It's like, well,
yeah,
no, that would have flown much better if that wasn't a huge break in there. I don't know. And so the monster comes, and I guess they think it's gonna kill Darth Vader somehow. Like, oh no,
which we know it's not.
And so he escapes, and he like stabs it in the brain or something and makes it fall, and the robot's like, oh, you're the first person to ever kill this thing. Okay, cool. And then he gets stopped by a mixed army of Gungans and I don't know, Nabooans. Yeah, I don't know what you call people from Naboo.
Nobinians.
And they call themselves Amidalans, which
there you go.
I think is super cool. Just the fact that they've got this whole like ragtag rebel group that they've named themselves after Padme, I think is pretty awesome. And it's like 60 people or something like that. They're all like, "Hey, we're gonna kill you now," and he's like, "Nah, I'm good."
He's like, "No, I've literally killed legions of armies in one swing."
He cuts some people in half. He stabs a guy through the chest. Typical Darth Vader stuff. Then he arrives at the tomb of Padme Amidala, and her 5 handmaidens are waiting there, like ready to kick some ass. And of course, that doesn't happen. They get their asses kicked. But it's hard. Like it's hard to do Darth Vader battles with any sort of real repercussions. Like, not only do we know Darth Vader doesn't die, but like, who's gonna be Darth Vader? Like,
so let me tell you this. I think you're right. I think what hit for me on this book though is in the second half with him having the flashbacks during his fights with, the hundreds of soldiers or handmaidens of Padme. Jesus Christ. I think that for me is what really hit home for me at this issue that kind of got me back on track, because you're finally getting some kind of emotional connection to what happened in the prequels, and it's clearly lingering with him.
Yeah.
And I think what they're trying to do is retcon in the sense that Vader has remorse and regret for doing what he's done, and it's showing in these flashbacks like, oh shit, I remember this person, and they were kind to me, and they did show me the way. Yeah. And I'm kicking your ass while I'm doing it. And I think it's in the back of his mind, like, I know I'm trying to find my son and who changed him for the better, but also I think it's kind of weighing on me too. And that to me was the oh shit in this comic, because I'm with you. Like, this issue was my make or break. Like, am I going to drop it after this issue? And those last like 6 pages where we were getting the flashbacks all in red and showing little Annie, to me that was like, ooh, like we're finally getting a nerve again on Darth Vader. The first time we ever got it was in the first issue when we thought that I'm striking out again. Padme. When we first see Padme, we're like, oh, she's still alive, and there was that first like little tick, right? And then it kind of fell off the last 2 issues, and now we're back again where we're getting this emotional connection for Vader. And I really like it, because I think what they're going to do is this is what's going to play into Vader essentially making the decisions he made with Luke in Jedi. Return of the Jedi. I think those are like the behind the scene thoughts that we didn't really get to see it. It's getting retconned into that was the decision making outside of it was just his son. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it was also this journey that he's on where he's reliving his past and realizing that Padme was his world, and we knew that, but I think he forgot that for a minute, obviously. I mean, getting your limbs chopped off and being burned alive kind of does that to you, where you kind of forget, you kind of have some post-traumatic trauma where you may not remember who you are.
Right.
And I think it's just starting to click in his head now that, oh, fuck, dude, I think I messed up.
What?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
that's what you think. I was like, wait, what?
Oh, fucked up. Anyways, that's my thought.
I agree, and I think that's a really good point. I think, the first two series of the Darth Vader comics, which have you read those?
Mm-mm. I want to.
So, in the one that takes place between episode 3 and episode 4, we just see super, super mad Darth Vader. Like, we see him turn his lightsaber kyber crystal red. Like, we see him just like kicking ass and not giving a crap what's going on.
Right.
And I haven't read all of the other series that takes place between New Hope and Empire. But in a lot of it, we see him as like the really formal leader of the Empire. And I think now you're right. I think we're gonna need to see the transition of what happens to Vader between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. What softens him essentially? What takes him from being the guy that shatters the kyber crystal and turns it red, and the guy that turns on the Emperor and saves his son?
Well, in Return of the Jedi, there are multiple moments where and I think I forget who directed Jedi. It wasn't Lucas. It was somebody else. We get those undertones, which is really hard to do with a mask. It's more of how it's conveyed in the pauses that he makes with Luke. When they're on Endor, and Luke is like, I feel the good in you. I know that you can change. And initially you look at Vader and he's kind of got, his posture's got this idea of like, the fuck are you talking about, right? But then when he repeats it, you see like the posture of Vader kind of changes, just like, hey, this kid might have an idea here. You know what I mean? And then we see it again when Luke is getting completely destroyed by the Emperor with lightning, and you can kind of see it in the posturing again, because you can't show expression in the mask, obviously. You see him kind of look at him like, am I really gonna let this old raisin fart kill my son? Kind of like, what the fuck am I doing? And so I think this is where this series is going. In order for me to continue, I need more moments like that and action, which we kind of got in this one. Like when he started killing the soldiers, I was like, hell yeah, this is badass. But then we got that emotional connection, and I hope we get more of that, because I think the last two issues really lacked in that. It was like, okay, let's explain who this Padme handmaiden is. Okay, sure. And it wasn't even a surprise that she betrayed him in issue 3. Like, you can't be that stupid to think that it wasn't somebody like this guy. The only thing is they just don't know that it's Anakin, right? But they can connect the dots. Come on, guys. So, issue 4 and 1 have been knockouts for me. 1 obviously the best, and 4 kind of picked it up a bit. So I'm really excited for the next issue, because even the preview, the cover looks kick-ass. It's like a die cut of or a cut in half version diagonally of Vader and Anakin. So I think we're gonna get some really cool stuff in issue 5.
Definitely.
So, all right, next up is 7 Secrets. We did do a early review of this earlier this week, but we want to do the bullet points because we feel like this is such a kick-ass book, and I feel like anyone that didn't see that show, we want to kind of give you the scoop on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this entire issue really felt like a movie. That was one of my biggest takeaways from it when we did the preview. Just the action was very fast paced, and it kept rolling. But at the same time, it's a number 1, and it needs to build a world, and I think it did a really good job of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it presented us with some characters. It presented us with some backstory, and it presented us with questions that you want answered, like right away.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the best ways to draw you in.
Yeah, and I also think it did a really good job of making you care about the characters, even though this is an issue 1. Spoilers here. These 2 agents are a carrier of a secret, an ancient secret, and they are forbidden to have any formal relationship with anybody, essentially. And they got bored, and they had a kid, essentially, and not essentially, they had a kid, and the group that they're a part of essentially says like, yo, you can't do that. Like, that's not, that baby gonna die, right? Mm-hmm. And we've got leadership that essentially, they jump in, they intervene, they say the kid won't die, but you have to abandon it, and we're gonna raise it, but it will not know that you are its father or you're its mother. Now, clearly in the dialogue that we have in the book, the child does know that these are his parents. We'll find out later in the book. That's a question that we want answered, is how he knows that. And this whole idea of the secrets being sacred, that's the other part of the book. And in doing so, he gets abandoned by his parents, figuratively, and they do their job. And at one point, one of the jobs, it just doesn't pan out. And our father figure, Sigrid, on the cliff, again, spoiler, the book literally ends with Sigrid here getting his head cut off by our main villain. And holy shit. Super sad and super like, what? Gotta pick up issue 2.
Yeah.
So we are looking forward to that. And issue 2, I think, is going to be just as bomb. And I'm super excited about it. And on a cool note, both Nate and I are submitting our number 1 to CGC to get graded, because I am almost willing to bet this show will be made by Netflix.
Yeah, and if it gets picked up, I bet it'll get picked up as an animated series.
100%.
Yeah, live action.
100%, and I think I kind of want it that way.
Yeah. Well, it stays true to the art style, which is the last thing that I wanted to say was, I am not a big fan of anime style art. That's one of the things we talked about in the.
We're gonna change that, but continue.
We're gonna change it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I've already got you kind of watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
No, we're not gonna change that. But this is the point. This is the point I'm gonna make.
We'll get there, chat.
Even if you're like me and the art style isn't like your cup of tea, just get over it, because the story that's in it is that good. I really don't, and I say that as like, so that I'm not just completely talking about how this book is perfection. Like, it's a small flaw, and it's a personal thing. But even if you pick up this book and you flip through the pages, you look at the art and you go, I don't know, this isn't my art style. Just read it first. Read the first issue. Like, I guarantee you're gonna.
Yep. Also, shout out that has nothing to do with the issue. If you have not seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, get your life together, because it's so good. All right, next. Yes, the death metals. Yes. Number 3.
I'm gonna take a party break while you do this.
Yeah, go for it. So death metals number 3. Again, I am not a big DC reader. I'm actually not at all, outside of maybe a little bit of Green Lantern. This series is just straight up fun. Even if you don't know what's going on within the DC universe, which I have no idea outside of the original death metal, there's so much back history that's happening in this book, with Infinite Crisis and like all different other events that happen in the DC universe. I have no prior experience with that, but even that being said, this book is fun. Seeing variants of Batman and different versions of Superman and Wonder Woman and Lantern and the Flash, it's all fun. So I recommend picking it up just for that aspect. And plus, dude, shiny cover, no brainer. But we get to finally find out what Superman's been doing in this arc, essentially. He's been captured by the Dark Side Batman, and he's being transformed into that universe's dark side. So that's why his arm is all jacked up in the cover. he's being slowly turned into Darkseid, or Superman Darkseid, and our Batman and Wonder Woman and Swamp Thing and Harley Quinn bust through the doors to try to save him, and a lot of switcheroo, bait and switch happens, and our Superman survives an attack, does not become the next Darkseid, and I don't exactly understand what happens, but at some point they open a rift where they bring all of the original versions of superheroes back into this universe. You know, Mr. Terrific, Green Lanterns, all the Green Lanterns, just a bunch of different Hawkman, like all these different DC superheroes show up or are released into this universe because they need the bodies to fight the Darkest Knight, who is the Batman Who Laughs that took over Dr. Manhattan's body, or Bruce Manhattan's body, and now is the Darkest Knight. And while we're doing this, while we find this out, all the Flash characters, Willie, I think his name is Willie, who has now got like powers of Doctor Strange or Dr. Manhattan, the original Flash, current Flash, Dr. Fate. They're all sitting, waiting for Superman to get rescued, and a portal opens up, and the Robin King, who was introduced in the most recent tie-in issue, The Darkest Knights, shows up. Wally West, yes. To come after the speedsters essentially, and they're all like, crap, we gotta go. So they run, and they start running as fast as they can, and through the portal comes the Darkest Knight, and he's basically trying to get to Wally West to consume his power so he can become complete, if you will. And how does this issue end? I don't think he catches him, but he gets really close. Let me look, because I want to give a full-on review on that. Keep on bumping the mic. I don't like that. You back from your poo-poo break?
Yes.
Nice. How was it?
I mean, I didn't poo-poo. I got my Pepsi.
Anyway, so the Darkest Knight is... Oh, that's right. The Darkest Knight is, going after...
You do read these books, right?
Yes, I do,
okay.
But I don't remember. The Darkest Knight is chasing the Flashes through time, I guess. And there's another character that's brought up who I have no idea who it is. It's like some psychic starfish. I don't know who it is, and apparently it calls Bruce Daddy. I don't know. Again, I have not read my history on this. I just buy it because it's fun and weird and crazy. But there are times where I'm like, definitely Starro, yeah. I don't know who that is, to be absolutely honest with you. But they go to get him because apparently he's like the strongest ally that they can get right now. And so they're all basically getting ready to take on the Darkest Knight. And during this entire time, we get introduced to Lobo. Lobo is fighting in the fifth dimension, and he's looking for something. And he gets a hold of a little box that's got something of importance to somebody, and we find out that what is in that box, Lex Luthor is looking for. So the issue ends with Lobo going to... Oh, it's certain metals. That's right. It's the metals that were prominent in the first Death Metal series. So in the box is death metal, or some metals, some rare metals, and Lex Luthor is looking for him. So that's how the issue ends, and Luthor is looking pretty scrappy. His face is all jacked up on one side, and I think he's blind in one eye. So that leads us into the next tie-ins, and we don't get a Death Metal 4 until October, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. So after this, the next books are Dark Knight Death Metal, Trinity Crisis, Justice League 53, Dark Knight's Death Metal Speed Metal, and Dark Knight's Death Metal Multiverse Ends. And then we get Death Metal number 4. So we get an entire month of no actual Death Metal book. It goes into September, and then we get one in November, and then it ends in December. No, I'm sorry. It ends in January. There's going to be a Dark Knight's Death Metal number 7. Fifth Dimension is where Multiplex and Bat Knight come from. Gotcha. Yeah, it's again. I probably
Any of those words.
huh.
I said I don't know any of those words.
Right, and it sucks. I wish I did. I still enjoy reading these, but I am clearly lost because I haven't been reading DC. But I like them. I do like reading it. I like seeing just the absurdity of it. Like there's tell me about this one. I don't know if you've read this book yet, but in the first page, the giant robot that Toyman made. Gotcha. There's a bunch of different Batmans that are like surveying the area, investigating, and one of them literally looks like a Silver Surfer version of Batman. Is that them kind of playing around with the idea of like, oh, and there's a Silver Surfer Batman, or is that an actual character that that exists in the DC universe that's an alternate version of Batman?
I did see a few people talking about that. I do think that's something that's new, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a Silver Surfer Batman.
Yeah, I saw it. It's pretty crazy.
Okay, yeah, look at that and just let me know, because I think it's them kind of trying to be like Donny Cates and like, oh yeah, well, we have a Silver Surfer Batman, so. Anyway, so that's Death Metal number 3. I am kind of bummed that we don't get a book in September because I like kind of interjecting DC when I can, because again, I'm just not. With DC doing what's going on right now, maybe, when everything wraps up and they decide to relaunch some stuff and they do decide to go physical, maybe I'll jump on some titles and like try to get into it. But I definitely enjoy reading it, even though I don't know what the hell's going on. All right, next up, Adventure Man. So this is another one that Nate hasn't read, but I really, 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 really want him to read because it's really freaking good. The artwork is great. The story is awesome. So our main character, Claire, got like sucked into an alternate reality last issue, which, is it an alternate reality? Is it a real reality? We don't know. And it's essentially the Adventure Man's tower or headquarters. And she gets thrown around for a loop. And in that last issue, she shows up back to her family in complete tatters, like, what has been going on with you? Like they're like, where did you come from, and why are you, why do you look like a mess? So in this issue, they take her family takes her to the hospital to get her checked out, and this character initially is presented as deaf. She has hearing aids, and she hears them perfectly talking to her, saying, "Hey, are you okay? What happened?" And one of her sisters is actually signing to her, and she just blurts out, "Everything's fine. I can completely hear you. I understand exactly what you're saying." So something happened to her in this alternate dimension that has physically changed her. On top of that, as you're reading the issue of her getting examined by the doctors, she also, this is really weird, she grew 15 inches in this alternate reality. So she's skyrocketed in height. It's like she's essentially becoming a superhero, I think was what's happening. So while they're trying to get her examined, there is a patient there that is flatlining, and she's like, I gotta go help them. She's like in this like state of mind that she's a superhero essentially, because again, the Adventure Man book that her and her son are reading is technically fiction, but we're coming to find out that this is actually real, or we think it's real. And so she has this like flashback / real instance where she, in her mind, is on a pirate boat ship saving somebody on the ship while it's getting attacked, and she's performing a blood transfusion on the ship, but when in reality she's doing it at the hospital with somebody that was in an accident. Okay. Keep following.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So she snaps out of it, and we realize that she's actually performing a blood transfusion in the middle of the ER waiting room. And the doctors are like, what the hell are you doing? And then we come to find out that she's AB negative, which is the rarest blood type. And she's exactly the blood type that the patient in the ER needs. So the doctors are like, don't do anything different. Keep on doing what you're doing. So she saves the patient's life. They finally start examining her, and they find out, oh, you gained your hearing back. Oh, and we're doing a CAT scan, and your brain waves are just going through the roof. And so while she's getting examined, she's like, do I need to do anything? And the doctor's like, yes, you don't have to talk anymore, and please stop growing. And when I read that line, I was like, what the fuck do they mean by that? Because again, it hasn't been established that she's grown 15 inches in like a day. Mm-hmm. And later on we find out that like her body has been altered essentially. She's physically become stronger, she's taller, she's smarter, she can hear, and they can't explain it. And she can't explain it because she can't remember what happened, in that she doesn't even remember that reality that she got dropped into, let alone the little flashback she had during the hospital. She's just in a daze. So they check her out. They say, you're technically healthy, so we got to let you go. So she goes back home with her family, and they're like, well, what are we going to go do? And she's like, well, let's just go watch a movie. So they go sit and watch a movie at the house, and in the middle of the movie, they're literally watching an Adventure Man movie. And it clicks in her brain. She's like, oh, I remember what happened. And that's where it cuts off with her story. So we're left on a cliffhanger of what happened to her in that alternate reality that is the Adventure Man. And we get kicked to that reality where our main villain is like summoning a demon, and he gets the demon overloads him, and his henchman basically like kicks him out of it. And as she's taking him out of it, the demon's still there, basically talking to the henchman or henchwoman, and is saying, you can have all my power if you want. You just need to bring me the head of Adventure Man. And they cut to Claire riding a Vespa, essentially, or a moped, back to the tower that she found. And so that's where it ends. So we've got two realities, normal, like real reality, and this fictional reality that nobody thinks is real, but it clearly is. And she's becoming submerged in it. So she's having these little flashbacks in real day right now. And so that's where we're left off, is there's this like demonic body that wants to kill her because she's becoming the new Adventure Man, essentially. So I think we're going to find out that that book isn't fiction. It's actually real. And we're either time traveling or we're reality jumping. And we're going to find out soon enough. So that's Adventure Man. All right, bud.
Oh, boy.
We both read this book. I gave it to you today to read. Yep. And now you've got some thoughts, and I'm very interested to hear it. I love this book. Take it away.
You want me to go first?
You go for it. I want to hear you. I'm going to sprinkle. I'm just going to sprinkle, okay. But because you were super, like, after I gave it to you, and like 2 hours later, I got a text going like, yo. So let's hear it.
So this is the book that dethroned Something is Killing the Children for my pick of the week.
So it's your pick of the week.
So this is definitely my pick of the week. By far, Big Girls, number one.
Now, you thought that this was a book about, like, thick girls.
So initially I thought this was a book about, like, thick girls. Just like...
Right. Which ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that at all. Like, when I found out it wasn't is when I was like, I don't know if I want to pick it up.
Mm. And I heard that in your voice. I heard that when we talked about it.
You're like, no, it's about like 300-foot tall girls. And I was like, okay, that sounds dumb. Never mind. And so
we went from that to it's my pick of the week. So let's do it.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm trying to think of how the best way to explain it. So first of all, the thing that I like the most about this already is that the story and the art are all by one person, Jason Howe. He's doing everything on here. So, I think that a collaborative effort sometimes works really well, especially with like established continuity, superhero stories, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I think there's something to be said about an independent title that is being written and drawn by the same person, and they really get to take control of their creative vision. And I think it's super apparent in this book. So essentially we have a scientific experiment that's gone wrong. And it has caused humans to mutate.
So worldwide effect.
It's a worldwide effect. It has caused humans to mutate and causes the men to turn into giant, mindless killing things. And when I say giant, I mean like 300-foot tall, like Godzilla bastards just running through the city.
Now, is it apparent in the issue, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not every like man or boy or male that turns into it. It's like a select type, right?
Correct. As a matter of fact, it's when you turn 3 years old is when they find out.
If you're affected by the what is it called, the mega
I don't remember what it's called, but
I don't have the book in front of me because it's in front of you.
It's in front of me, yes.
Some kind of mutation, essentially.
Yeah, it's a rare mutation. It basically, when you turn 3 years old, the kids start growing very large, and it's not just that they grow tall; they also grow like bulbous lesions and like claw arms and like all kinds of weird stuff. Not quite like body horror, like it's not that vicious, but like they turn into monsters basically. Mm-hmm. And however, some women turn big, but the monster aspect of the mutation doesn't affect them.
Right, they just turn big.
And so basically, a part of an unnamed city that is known as the Preserve, basically is sanctioned off all a safe area essentially that is protected by the big girls and by a FBI style police state that is making sure that we don't have any rogue big boys somewhere throughout the city.
I feel like there should be like a House of X Powers of 10 where we have big girls and then we have big boys.
Yeah,
but it'd be like, or big monsters.
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so when I describe this book, it sounds kind of silly, and it is kind of silly.
It is silly.
Its premise is silly on the surface,
mm-hmm.
but the reason why I like this book so much is if you're paying attention, Jason Howard is throwing some shit at you really quickly.
No shit.
In the beginning, they're trying to explain what happens. He says, there was a mistake, that's all anyone knew for certain. And he says, the reasons behind big events are rarely known to little. And if that's not the beginning of the social commentary, then I'm not sure what is.
Say that one more time, you kind of broke up.
He says that there was a mistake, that's all anyone knew for certain. The reasons behind big events are rarely known to little people. Basically, the reason why the things that make the earth shake, to make the world go round, aren't really known to just common people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the start of, it's on the first page, but that's really the start of the political commentary that I think Jason Howard is trying to make with this book. So we go on for a little bit. We get introduced to one of our main girls, our first big girl, Ember. And she is helping one of the FBI agents kind of patrol an area. They've located a guy that, for some reasons, they suspect that he might have a child hidden.
Mm-hmm.
He's been buying way too much food for just one person.
Right.
So they investigate him. They burst into his house. Sure enough, his son is sitting there on the ground. He's sitting down and is taller than all of these men. So he's at least 10 feet tall. He's got a claw arm and purple lesions all over him. And it turns out, his dad's been smoking and hiding him.
Yep.
And there's a very, very strict rules about what we're supposed to do here. And you're not supposed to... These boys aren't supposed to live. They grow up to be monsters, and they're gonna destroy society.
Yeah, basically after 3, if it's looking like it, they're essentially eliminated.
Yes, and it looks as if they're about to arrest the dad and take the boy out, and the dad essentially yells, "It's wrestle time!" He calls him Alan. It's wrestle time. And his son proceeds to get up and
Super Smash Brothers everybody in the room.
Super Smash Brothers everyone in the room. But unlike Super Smash Brothers, we're talking about blood pulp. Like smashing and turning them into goo. One guy gets ripped in half. then he jumps out of the building, only to be caught by Ember, our big girl, who is on patrol outside.
Mm-hmm.
And James, you want to tell them about the first oh shit moment?
Oh shit moment. So she catches the boy like jumping out of the building, and she's like, "Got him!" And she's holding him in front of the window that she broke out. And our FBI, her partner or her boss, essentially, is like, "Great, good job," and just blows the kid's head off. Just no mercy, no, like even thinking about it. Just straight dead. And yeah, I was reading it and I was like, bro,
yeah,
that's
pretty brutal.
Yep, I get it, but wow, that's intense. So
yeah. And before we move on, there's one thing that this FBI agent says to the dad that I wrote down as a specific quote. Because again, when you think about it in the context of the comic, he's talking about one thing, but I really think Jason Howard, again, is just using this facade to make a critical analysis of modern culture. And he says, where is it? His dad's trying to plead with him and says, he doesn't know any better. I take care of him. He's not a danger to anyone. And he said, the FBI agent says, there's a limit to how much society can accept things that don't fit in. And I don't think he literally means fit in as in the size of this kid.
Right.
It literally means this is something that society has deemed bad, and so we're getting rid of it. And whether I won't go any further to try to put words in Jason Howard's mouth, but that sounds like a pretty intense critique of whatever you want to call it, cancel culture, or even cancel culture on either side. This is not like a political statement, but
right.
Just saying that as a society, we're done with this forever, and we're not going to listen. And the second we see a problem, we're going to blow its head off. Like it's a very final, it's a very black and white system. Mm-hmm. And just 2 panels later, you actually see that FBI style agent sitting in what seems to be like his own little cubicle. And he pulls up a picture of what looks to be like a 3-year-old boy. And I think we can make, conclusions there that he probably also had to put down his own son because he started to turn.
Yeah. It seemed to me like in that instant that he's been collecting, I feel like one of them is, but I felt like he was collecting like the pictures of all these kids that are boys that he's killed, essentially.
It could be that as well. Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Like, I think he did. I think you're right. I think his son probably was turning and he had to kill him. Mm-hmm. But I think he takes mementos, essentially. Like, it's not just this, in his mind, I would assume it's not this, and I could be wrong. It could be just him being super ruthless. But the way I interpret it is it's a memento to what he's done. And that it's not as cut and dry in his mind as he'd like it to be, or how it's perceived. There is guilt in his shots. Now, it could be wrong. It could be like, another kill. Tape that on the wall. We don't know yet. We're going to find out. But that's how I kind of perceived that panel, was like he takes a picture from each of these families, and serves as a reminder of the shit that he's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we could be wrong.
No, but I still think it's the fact that in one panel that we can get that much insight into a character is good writing.
For sure.
So then we essentially get a little bit of dialogue between Ember, our big girl, and our agent. And Ember's, pretty torn up about what's happened. She's upset that they killed the kid. And he basically says, no, you don't understand. We saved lives today. He even critiques her. On my third quote that I put down, he said, "Are hard decisions okay as long as you don't have to see them?" Just because you weren't he's basically criticizing her. This is going on. This has been going on before you being involved today. So why are they just now hard to say? Like, why is it just now something that you're going to critique? Like, right. If I very much took that as a, turning a blind eye, or if you're not part of the problem, you're part of the solution, sort of thing. Like, right. I don't know. To me, I think the amount of tongue-in-cheek writing throughout this entire story was really good.
Oh, it's definitely pissing off the that group of that minority group that we talk about. That's just like, nobody wants this.
So yeah, I've got one more point to that, but I'll wait till we get to the end.
Yeah, and it clearly we do, because we bought the fucking book and we enjoyed it. So shut the fuck up. All right, continue.
Basically, while the agent and Ember are in conversation, a monster gets broken loose and is rampaging the city, and an alarm goes off. And basically, it turns out somehow that this monster has showed up in the middle of the city, which is not something that usually happens. A couple pages earlier, he says, that
don't happen.
That doesn't happen. Well, he says, why do you think they only attack from outside the city? And then now all of a sudden they're attacking from Tower 2. She said, how did they get so close? Obviously this is something that's not new. And so we basically get a really awesome, fight sequence between this. This no longer looks like anything representative of a human being whatsoever. Like, this is a fully formed monster. Big jagged teeth, giant claws, 300 foot tall, bug looking eyes, all kinds of crazy stuff. But we get a really awesome battle sequence between the two. You really see the I think the heart of what these big girls are supposed to be, like, as protectors of the city. Literally, she's in the middle of a fight getting thrown around in this city by this monster, and she helps people from like falling buildings and I mean, it's I was trying to figure out if I wanted to bring up my next point, but I'll wait. So yeah, we essentially see a conclusion to their fight against one monster, and then all of a sudden the second monster shows up. And right as that, literally, Ember says, "Oh crap," and then we cut panel away to something totally different. And it's the father of the boy that had gotten killed, and he's, looks like he's doing some kind of secret rendezvous with someone that he's not supposed to be with. And the final panel is basically, "I'm sorry your son's dead, but don't worry, we're making more." And you see 3 pregnant women and a boy growing in a test tube, and then a giant shadowed boy behind her.
Yeah.
So obviously people within the city limits are violating these orders, rebelling against this, and purposely growing like monster children, essentially.
Yep. So they're going to use the father's seed to create more monsters. So, yep.
So the biggest thing that I like about this book, and
the biggest thing,
you get it?
Yeah.
One of the things I like most about this book is, honestly, it's the roles. It's that the girls are the good guys and that men are the bad guys. Because I really do think Jason Howard did this on purpose.
For sure. Jason
Howard is not saying all men are evil and all men are monsters, but he's clearly saying that, like, hey, like, I can just see the people now that are, well, why the men got to be the bad guys? Why are men all evil? And he's like, and Jason Howard's literally saying, how do you think women have felt at the type of representation that they've had in comic books for the past 50, 60, 70 years? And so the amount of meta commentary that is underneath this story is enough to make it pick of the week, but the fact that the actual comic book story on top was really good as well,
right,
and the art was really awesome, made this the pick of the week by far. Amazing book, top of my pull list for.
And so I'm assuming this is you need to tell Ron. So Ron, if you're on and you're listening, both of us need to add this to our pull list immediately.
Yes, I need. Yeah, Ron, exactly.
Ron
commented, women have been evil in stories since have been evil since the Apple. Bible stories. Yeah, it's. I mean, this is a story that women have been hearing forever. That they're the evil ones and they're the bad ones. So you know what? I think men could be the bad guys for a change. Once. It's okay. And this is not a critique that all men are evil and that we're all you just should suffer and should bow down to women. That's not what this is. But I think that this type of representation, this type of political commentary, this type of role reversal is something we need more in comics. And I love that it's here. I love that we have it. And I'm ready. I'm ready for Jason Howard to write like a Spider-Man story that has this type of stuff in it.
100%. And I think Adventure Man also, I think, can be, and I'm not doing it justice in my description. I'm not as good as Nate is, but I think that one also kind of plays into it too. And that's why I'm highly recommending, Nate, that you pick that up and read it. Yeah, and I'll let you borrow the first 3 issues. I'm almost giddy to see the response that this book gets on the YouTubes.
Yep.
Because I know it's there. I know that there's that group of people that definitely, yeah. And Adventure Man is definitely a role reversal book, and I love it. I freaking love it. It's so good and it's written so well. But this one as well, there's a group out there that they're so angry. Don't change, don't change. And that's the thing. That's what comic books are about. They're about change. They're about making you think different. And yeah, obviously they're about having fun and enjoying and escaping, but they can also make you think. And it just seems like in the past, and again, I haven't been reading comics that long, but from my understanding of this group, they have been so frustrated for the past, let's say, 20 years in comic book writing. And they're so mad that Image and Marvel and DC and whoever are making these books with social commentary in them. And I'm like, bro, that's been an aspect of comic books since the beginning. Yeah. That's literally what it's been about. It's just now that it's about something different, you can't handle it. Yep. And you need to, and to be, again, it's ironic to say this, but grow the fuck up. Just grow up. I'm not gonna buy that book, or I own a comic book store. I'm gonna open up a comic book store, and I'm not gonna have any Marvel, any DC, and any Image because they push their cancel culture and their gender politics. And shut the fuck up. Shut up. No. If somebody comes into your store and they want a DC book or a Marvel book or this book, you're gonna buy it because it's gonna sell, because it's selling. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certain things that happen in comics that are obviously misses, and that's on the publisher. But if it's not something you want to read, don't read it, and don't get in a puff about it. And now I get it. The reason why they're doing it is because they want to get attention. That's the whole point. They're playing. They're just playing on emotion. But I'm totally with you. I think Jason Howard is firing on all cylinders on this book, and it's a fun read. There's obviously some digs, which I love. Big digs. Digs at that group and digs at those people that think that way. Yep. And I'm all on it. I'm all aboard. Let's go. Let's get out of the station and let's freaking ride this train. So that is Big Girls. Super awesome. And again, if it weren't for my love for Donny Cates, because I can't quit you. You complete me. This would have been my pick of the week as well, but Venom was just so freaking cool. Anyway, and our last book of the night until we get to the news is Revenge of the Cosmic Ghost Rider number 5, the final book in the series. We have not obviously talked about this series because we're only in episode 3, but this book has been going on for a while. This is another one of those books that got paused by Marvel, and it looked like it was going straight to paperback with two issues. Actually, no, with only this issue not being released, and they reversed course and they released it, and thank God they did. If you're a fan of the Cosmic Ghost Rider, which obviously I am, my boy Donny Cates made the character. This continuation of the story of the Ghost Rider is top notch. The original story by Donny, I absolutely love it. The second in-between story, the Cosmic Ghost Rider destroying the universe, not so much. I mean, it was fun, but it just didn't feel like the character. This book feels like Donnie's character, but it's written by somebody else, and it fires on all cylinders as well. So in this issue, we get the kind of the wrap up, and I'm just going to kind of do the spark notes on it. Cosmic Ghost Rider was fighting the Cosmic King, or the Cosmic Monster King, in this series, and it's basically this character that was trying to seize power or control after Thanos had essentially died in Infinity Wars, with his head being cut off. Twist, the Cosmic King was possessed by a demonic cosmic monster worm, if you will. Again, fucking nuts. And so the Cosmic King essentially had this, mob-like network in the universe, and the Ghost Rider, or Frank Castle, came upon it and was like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck this shit up. I'm gonna blow it to sky high because I am the Punisher and everyone deserves judgment. And in doing so, he found a glimpse or a glimmer of innocence in this one girl who was part of this salvage group, and he kind of is dragging her along the series, making sure she doesn't do anything wrong because she needs to stay pure and innocent. And he's fighting off bad guys and making sure she doesn't kill anybody. And it gets to the point where the Cosmic King realizes that the Ghost Rider is fucking his shit up, and he wants to stop it. So he's going after him and her. And in the third issue, he catches up to him, and he goes full on like, here's my final form. And it's this giant demonic monster guy. And in their fight, he gets a hold of the girl that he's been saving. I think her name is like Cammy or something like that. And throws her into a black hole. Just whoop. Bye. And Ghost Frank gets pissed. He's just like, I've been trying so hard to keep this chick alive, and now she's dead, essentially, and I can't deal with it. And in the middle of their fight, they're fighting and they're just trading blows to the point where, the Cosmic King, out of character, offers up Frank Castle's original soul. And he got his original soul from Mephisto in like a previous issue. And Frank takes it. So when he takes his soul, he no longer is a Ghost Rider. He's just Frank Castle, the Punisher. And you see the Cosmic King kind of go, oh, he did it. He took the bait. And what he's been doing is this demonic worm has been trying to get a hold, like it's been consuming power left and right. And his end goal was to get some being that had cosmic power from Galactus, essentially, from a herald. And it's never been able to do it. And it saw Frank Castle and was like, maybe if I get his soul back to him, I can consume his power cosmic, and I can become the all-powerful being, essentially. So that's how that issue 3 ends, where Cammy gets thrown into a black hole, and he gets his soul back, but he still has the cosmic power. And in the next issue, he like kills the Cosmic King like that. Like it doesn't even faze him. And so when Cammy gets thrown into a wormhole, she ends up time traveling like 2 or 7 months back in time. And it's right after Thanos dies, and the Cosmic King hasn't been possessed by this demonic worm. And so he's just like a thug, essentially.
Yeah.
And he's trying to figure out how he's going to take over the universe. And in the middle of him figuring out what was going on, this worm crash lands into his headquarters where Cammy is now. She gets thrown into this part of the universe / reality or time zone, and she gets possessed by the worm. And she finds out that the worm is going after Frank and wants the power cosmic. Am I saying they're at power cosmic, or is it cosmic power?
Power cosmic.
Power cosmic. So she finds out inadvertently that the worm is after Frank, not the Cosmic King. So she's trying to figure out a way to get back in time to get to Frank, to tell him not to take his soul. She's too late when she gets there. She realizes that that he took his soul. Mephisto shows up, and this is issue 4. Mephisto shows up and is like, yo, you signed a contract. I need a soul. And he looks at Frank and he goes, clearly I can't take yours. So he takes Cammy's. So right as Frank thinks he's saved this girl, her soul gets taken by Mephisto, and it's going down to hell. And so this is where this issue picks up, issue 5, where Frank jumps into hell as a mortal being and burns alive, like literally burns his flesh, gets into hell. And at first he's like, shit, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then like you see purple, energy beam come out of his eyes. Like, oh yeah, I forgot, I'm a Herald of Galactus. Regen. and so it's basically the Herald of Galactus going through hell, just being like, get the fuck out of my face, killing things left and right, and finally gets to Mephisto. And Mephisto's like, listen, I can't do anything to you here. You're technically innocent after you regained your soul, so I can't help you. You know, I know you want the girl, but there's only one way. There's only one way that you can save her. And you don't get an answer right off the bat of like what he does. And then in the next panel, her soul is rejoined with her body, and he's back as the Cosmic Ghost Rider. So he took the deal again, and he became the Cosmic Ghost Rider for this girl to keep her pure and innocent. And you think that's how the comic's going to end. And then out of nowhere, the crusty ashes of the Cosmic King's body, the worm comes up, possesses Cammy, and she becomes the next host of the cosmic demon worm, and she obliterates him, kills him.
Ooh.
So then the next panel, his skull is just sitting there, and a brood alien picks up his skull, and he has a dialogue, and he's like, do brood seek, or can I seek vengeance on brood? And he looks into their eyes and he goes, yep. And the brood gets immediately turned into flames. He comes back as the Cosmic Ghost Rider, and he's back again, and he's basically saying, well, now I got to go kill my friend because she's the embodiment of evil. And that's how the series ends, is on a giant cliffhanger. But the entire series itself is so... it does justice to Donny Cates's series, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really do hope they bring the Cosmic Ghost Rider back for another series. You know, I know that Marvel right now is kind of cutting books here. You know, they cut a Ghost Rider book. They cut a lot out of Empire, and they're dropping other books. You know, kind of slimming down the line. But I really hope. I think we will see Cosmic Ghost Rider again in the King in Black, because it's a Donny Cates character. I think we're going to see a lot of Donny Cates characters in the King in Black event. You know, Silver Surfer Black, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Black Winter, Thor, Venom, Spider-Man. I think they're all coming back. I think everyone's coming back. So I think we will see him, but I really do hope he gets another miniseries, and I hope whoever does write it writes it in the vein of Donny Cates. You know, Hopeless here did a really great job. I think that it was written in the same vein, and I really appreciated that. But I definitely dug this series, and I'm really sad that it was a miniseries. But the miniseries have been doing well for this character. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, here's a story. Let's drop him in a main. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He did great in that series, and that's when Donny Cates was writing it. But this character has a lot of potential, and I really hope at some point we get something. I hope Disney does something with this character, because he's just such a wild card. So yeah, that's our pull list for this month. We've gone for 2 hours and 25 minutes, and we still got 2 more segments. So dope. All right. So next up, we are going to talk about the news, and we've got 2 pretty big announcements and drastic announcements within the comic book world. One major one, which is DC had huge layoffs this week, mainly on the publishing and streaming side. So we're going to get, a lot of books, or not a lot, but a decent amount of books I think are going to be going away or going to digital.
Yeah, they said about 20 to 25% of the line. Yeah.
And, this is a move because of their acquisition through Warner Brothers / and then into AT&T. And AT&T doesn't know how to sell physical products. They know how to sell services. They know how to sell internet and phone and TV.
All the people that were still selling the comics never lost their jobs, though.
Correct, but I'm just saying, like, I just think, we're both wondering, is it going to be... are we seeing a transition to digital only? Are we seeing a digital majority? And I think that's the mindset of AT&T. It's like, why are we selling physical products? Why don't we just go mainstream straight digital? That's the feeling I get.
Well, I mean, yeah. So Jim Lee did excuse me, did an interview because a lot of people were like, "Are you fired? Are you still in charge of publishing? Like, what's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
And he literally said, "You're going to see more digital content," and he pointed to the Injustice series, which was the tie-in to the video games. And they released those digital first, and he said, "Yeah, these did so well digitally that they put them in print format." And he said, "You're going to see more of that. You're going to see more of digital starting books. Essentially, is how he calls it. And if it does well enough, then it will go to print, probably in collected editions only. But, yeah, I mean, I was saying earlier, like." This makes a lot of comic people nervous because I don't think there are really too many comic book people that are digital consumers.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest aspects of comic books is collecting,
Right.
and there's no you can't go digging in short boxes for digital comics, and you can't be proud of your Avengers #1 copy if it's just a digital copy that you paid 99 cents for that everyone else can get.
Right, you gonna sign my iPad?
Exactly. And so, I think that aspect makes a lot of people nervous. I don't think that that's where DC's going. I don't think that's where comics are going in general. But I do think that this is going to be this will be the turning point in 2 years when we look back and see what the new norm is for how much is digital only.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, we're not really getting anything that's digital only. We get a little bit, but not a ton. Especially not any high profile books, right? Even Injustice wasn't, the main Batman and the main Superman storylines.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like. Venom's going to get canceled in print and only go to digital. It's just not going to happen.
Don't even joke, dude.
But, there's a little bit to be nervous about. I actually think... So I read the whole article, the whole interview from Jim Lee. And actually, there's one thing he said that made me really excited. The interviewer just straight up just said, "Where do you see DC in 2 years?" And the biggest thing that he said was more international content. He said, DC has, he said, "When you talk about growing our business, both physical and digital, to me, the opportunities are global. That's what we're going to focus on. Sometimes that takes the form of content that we make here and translate to other marketplaces, but we want to partner with creatives in various territories and unlock stories that feel authentic to their marketplaces with characters that can embrace as their own and look for opportunities to take those characters and seed them throughout our own mythology." I just thinking about a story written by just I don't know, a Japanese writer with a Japanese artist using Japanese cultural norms, then being translated into English and becoming part of modern DC streamed continuity sounds amazing to me.
And what you're describing is again, we go back to this group because their voice is the loudest, even though they are the smallest, they're the minority.
Yeah.
This is going to piss off those guys so much.
It is.
And can't.
And because comic books are one of the very few like American art forms, kind of started here, even though it didn't quite, but you know what I mean, like
the standard comic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I mean, obviously, like there are certain things that I think are, I think Big Girls doesn't play well in Germany or in Australia or Japan. I think that
No, it plays well in Japan. Come on, Godzilla, Ultraman. Yes, it does.
okay, the big girls aspect. I'm talking about the underlying political.
Oh yeah, okay. The political.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying.
I got you.
I'm saying that. But
okay.
I would love to read a book professionally, translated, professionally made by creatives from other places in the world with their own cultural contexts. And I would love those stories to be ingrained into the actual mythology of modern Marvel and DC continuity.
100%.
And you're right. There are people out there that are shuddering about diversity, and you're forcing your political beliefs on me. And
the comic industry is dead. Bah!
Like we could possibly kill an industry by including more people.
Exactly. Oh my god, that's literally that's the only comment that needs to be made on those fucking videos. Yeah, because we're being inclusive. We're literally killing the industry by adding more people to it.
Right.
It's like the same people that get pissed off about Peach Momoko covers. Like, dude,
oh, man.
Bro. And what did I do on Instagram? Anytime I get the opportunity to push that artist, I do on our Instagram page, which, hey, go follow us on 2 Fat Guys Bullies on Instagram. But I do, anytime I get that opportunity, I'm going to push her covers because, one, I enjoy them. And two, it's just like, why the hell not? Why the hell not?
Yeah.
Sorry,
you're right.
Fucking heated, man.
I found that second quote that I screenshotted. It was basically the second. He's saying, with digital, he's using this international stuff. He said we're using that as a model as we go out and do more digital content. We'll take the most successful books, repackage it as physical books. I think there's definitely business to be had in physical periodicals. But that said, I think there's a greater upside in digital because we can go to a more global audience, and the barrier to entry, especially during a pandemic, is a lot lower. It's easier to get digital content into the hands of consumers that want to read these stories in digital format.
I guess my only contact, or my only critique of that statement is I don't want that. Like, I want them to still, I guess the collector in me and also the support of the LCS, I want them to still get the content. You know what I'm saying? Because that kind of sucks. Like, no, it doesn't kind of suck. It sucks for the comic book store to not get physical copies of books that they know they can sell.
Right, but I think that wasn't the whole quote. The context of the quote essentially is him saying the best way to get content in a global scale to everyone else
is to go digital.
Is digitally. So that doesn't mean everything's digital. It means you start with printed periodicals in the place where it was created. So we might not be getting, let's just say in 10 years from now, we have a booming Portuguese comic market, and there are Portuguese writers and Portuguese artists that are just blowing it up. Great stories, a Portuguese writer gets Thor after Donny Cates and he's just crushing it. Portugal is probably going to get the print of those. Or I said Thor, that's Marvel. I'm saying all this for DC, and I don't know.
Right.
Let's say a writer from Portugal gets Superman and it's blowing up. Those stories are, Portugal's going to get those prints. We're going to get those digital. If we kick ass and buy a bunch of that digital stuff, then they're going to print it for us in collected editions. But I think that's a good model for getting more people involved in
inclusive
in creating comic books.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wanted to preface it first because to me, the less amount of printed material, the worse. Comic books are a physical medium, and it's not a dying medium. It's not a technology that fades over time. It's not a VHS or a beta or a 8-track or anything. It's, books have been around for thousands of years. These happen to have pictures in the books, still books.
Well, and also I think you're kind of seeing a trend, and I'm kind of diverging, but take vinyl for instance. My father, massive vinyl collector, right?
Yeah.
Then it went away, or it didn't go away. It wasn't the premium that everybody wanted. Now you look at today, and yeah, digital is king. But now you've got hipster chicks that are like, oh my God, I got to go buy myself a record. But outside of that, there are guys that are just like, no, man, it just sounds better on vinyl. There's more authenticity in vinyl. And it has a comeback. And I bet you'll see cassette tapes coming back too at some point. And I think, like, you're right. Like, books, to me, there are always, this sounds kind of douchey to say, but it's a trend. It's a trendy thing to have a physical copy in your hand, whether it's music or literature or comics. To have the physical copy in your hand, it feels real. Now, I think the people that are heavy into digital, I think at some point it's going to be like, yeah, I remember reading that on digital. And then one day they'll get a physical copy in their hand and be like, oh my God, this is amazing. This looks so good. I mean, the best book, I think, to me, the best book that I can talk about in modern day for us is Silver Surfer Black, what's the edition? Treasury edition. That book is so beautiful.
Every page feels like a poster.
100%. And like, I remember reading, and next week I want to talk about the term floppy or individual, because I really want to know if that's offensive.
Floppy's derogatory. We can't do that.
Is it?
Oh yeah, it's definitely.
Are you being 100% serious?
Yeah, I am being 100% serious.
Wow, because I really like saying the word floppy.
Well, that might speak more to your psyche than it does.
Oh, shut the hell up. Anyway, I liked reading the individual copies, if you will. It was fun, but then when I got the Treasury edition, yeah, that thing is so kick-ass. Mm-hmm. And, you can read it digitally, and I'm not saying it's not enjoyable that way either, but to have a Treasury edition in front of you and you're opening it up, and it's just like, it just hits you different. And I think that our generation and younger generations after us, I think will have that same, I'm not saying they're going to come around, but I think they'll discover it on their own. And when they do, they'll pick it up. And that's the point of an LCS, is to provide those back issues and the new issues. And that's what we're trying to achieve with this podcast too, is to continue to push this idea that reading comics is fun, it's cool, it's enjoyable, it's a kick-ass hobby, and you're never too old or too young to start it. And it brings a community together, and usually in the right way. Again, there's those select few that are just the troll under the bridge. But yeah, I think you're right. I don't think there'll be a full-on move to digital, and if it does, I don't think it'll work.
No, I think a great example of that not working either is digital book sales, like novels, like actual prose.
They still sell a physical copy. Physical copies are,
Yeah, physical copies still sell more. And there was a time when it was getting really close. I mean, comparatively. And now it's gotten to the point where there's been a massive resurgence. And that's in a printed media that doesn't truly distinct. I mean, it's just black ink on white paper. Like, it's not, the images are not really what you're going for, right? Yeah, and right. So with a comic book, it's even more geared towards print.
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. I think if they go full digital, I think you give it a couple years or a year, and then they'll be like, all right,
yeah, that didn't work.
That didn't work, and who are we selling this to? And in a perfect scenario, I would love, and it will never happen, but in a Donny Cates universe, Disney gets a hold of the publishing rights to DC, and we go to town.
No. See, I am so against that.
I know you are, but I want to see a world where, Batman and Iron Man are fighting each other, and it's not an industry, event to get people to buy more comics. It's like legit.
Yeah.
But that's me. Anyway, so the other thing in news that we're going to talk about, it actually happened today, I believe, if not yesterday, late yesterday. Boom Studios who, is publishing Seven Secrets and Something's Killing the Children and all these other fantastic stories that are first come, first serve to Netflix to actually produce television shows for. They hired the former head of Marvel TV, and remind me of his name.
Oh, I closed the thing. I don't
Crap.
Let's see.
I was hoping you still had it up.
No, I should have, but
I should have had it up. I just forgot. Anyway,
Mark Ambrose.
So they picked him up, and he's basically going to be the liaison between Boom Studios and Netflix, I would assume, and any other producing network for their content. And I think that's a huge thing because, granted, Feige has taken over essentially all things Marvel, which is great. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that guy had to go somewhere, and I'm really glad he went to Boom because, we're picking up those comics, we're picking up those number ones, and that only increases the value of those books after you read them. And I really hope, I know that this move is huge for Boom. Mm-hmm. And, bigger things are on the horizon for Boom Studios and Netflix, I think. I think we're going to start getting a lot more original content Boom Studios content on Netflix. And I'm excited for it, to be 100%. Even outside of the the collecting aspect for it, of collecting number ones and series, I'm just excited about getting that content on Netflix and being able to watch these stories come to life, whether it's animated or live action.
Mm.
So,
yeah, I don't, I am just super excited to see some of these stories in an extra format.
And they're, Rob says Netflix still has all of the Mark Miller stuff too. What is Mark Miller? I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, what was it? It was something Magicians was his last big one.
Gotcha.
Magic Order.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Magic Order.
Cool. Yeah, I'm all about it, man. I'm just like, as I gravitate towards less and less of mainstream cable TV, just because I just don't really watch that anymore. I consume my visual content, YouTube, Netflix, Hulu. Mm-hmm. I do have YouTube TV, and that's mainly for news and sports.
Yeah.
And we're not getting a lot of sports right now. And news, obviously is about to Jupiter's Legacy.
Ooh.
I haven't heard of that one.
I haven't either, but it sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome. To be able to get more content like that from an independent publisher, I'm all about it. And I think it also drives people who don't read comics, who are like, oh, I watched the show. Oh, wait, there's a comic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go pick it up. And that's just more business. And that's more the destruction of superhero tropes. Okay. No, discontinue. No, I read that wrong.
What? Deconstruction.
It pushes more people into our community and allowing us to get to know more people. And, like you said, adding more people to the industry doesn't destroy it. It only makes it stronger.
Yeah.
So I'm all about it.
That's really what got me into comic books. At first it was literally only because of Star Wars. I was not satisfied enough by the sequel trilogy, and I wanted more Star Wars stories, and so I picked up a few books, and I picked up a few comic books, and then I was like, oh man, there's so many comic books that are great stories, Star Wars stories, and I read a ton of them, and then I was like, now I'm getting kind of burnt out on Star Wars. I wonder what other kind of comic stories. That was right after Endgame came out. Is when I really was doing the Star Wars thing, and so by the time I had burnt out, I was like, well, I'll go check out some of this Endgame stuff. And one of the first things that I just kind of flimmed through a little bit was Infinity Gauntlet. That's it's all from the movies.
It's also crazy to think about like where we started, 7 months ago. We literally walked into Ron's shop at the old location going like, man, I wonder if they got some D&D dice. Like,
Yeah.
like we literally started this journey on like, man, like, because we talked about it at the brewery. We were like, hey, let's play some Dungeons and Dragons. Like, let's just get a group together and go. And then we're over at Camp Bowie one day and you're like, hey, do you know there's a comic book shop over here? I'm like, let's go.
Yep.
And then boy's got a Thor #1 in his hand by Donny Cates going like, what's this about?
Might as well.
It's crazy.
Yep. That's first comics I bought were Rise of Kylo Ren #1, Basket Full of Heads, and Lolo Woods. Those Joe Hill books.
Yeah, and I did Guardians, the new Guardians run, Thor, and then I think I bought the trade for Mr. Miracle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which I'm like halfway through. I need to finish it. Anyway, nice stroll down my memory lane. All right, let's go into next week's polls, and then we'll just we'll get the show wrapped up so I can go to bed.
Yeah.
Because I'm a turd. Let's see. I need to pull up Google. What is that? What's that?
Poll list next week. What in the world?
So poll list.
I think we have all the same. You have everything I have except
Like a couple things, yeah.
you have extras, but so
For sure. I always have extras because I can't get enough of it. All right, so next week's polls for me starts off with Ant-Man #5. That finishes up that series. Excited about that. Avengers 35. Hell yes. Continuation of Age of Khonshu Part 3.
I'm really enjoying that one.
Jason Aaron is killing it. I am looking forward to this issue. Cable #3. We finally get another Deadpool interaction with Krakoa. And yeah, wait, I just can't wait. We talked about it before. Oh, go for it.
I was just gonna say I'm really looking forward to this book for the art. I'm really
yeah.
enjoying Phil Noto doing the interiors on this
He's
book.
freaking killing it. Yeah, that's another draw for that book. Captain Marvel 20. Again, we talked about it in our review. We've got pseudo accusers, War Machine, Spider-Woman, and again, Assault. What was it?
Yep. Hazard.
Hazard. Havoc.
I feel bad. I can't remember that.
Her. I'm sure Ron will correct us. Hazmat. There we go. Damn it, dude. I got to remember. It's late. I didn't remember it even when we did the review. Decorum #4. I know you're not picking up this book anymore. I am thoroughly enjoying it. It's classic Hickman, and I can't really say that because I've only read a couple of Hickman books, but I'm going to say it anyway. Again, it's so meta in the way he writes it, and information pages and graphs and art style changes. It's so dope. This book is just awesome, and I'm kind of hoping this thing gets picked up by somebody because, dude, it would be a really cool animated series or movie.
Once they figure out what it's about.
Duh. Next up, The Last X-Men Empire tie-in #4. Again, cannot wait to see. I hope there's another Scarlet Witch appearance in this. I hope Hickman just says it out loud that he's got beef with her, and just enough of this just beating around the bush that he hates the Scarlet Witch. Just say it already. But excited about that.
I don't know if you saw, but I'm definitely picking up both covers for this book.
The other one's Magic as the Demon, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I've exclusively picked up variants on this run. I haven't picked up any of the cover A's. Mm-hmm. I really like cover A though on this one. So
yeah, cover A is nice. It's like not a straight up homage, but just seeing Angel up there, kind of like up, not crucified, but just like kind of hanging on there.
Yeah,
it reminds me of old Uncanny issue where we first meet the Morlocks. It's like 160 to 9 or something like that.
Nice. Yeah, I enjoy. I've liked this run. I need more Angel in the X-Men.
Yeah, Angel's a character that's never been really just fully.
I just need him more in the Hickman runs. I hope he gets. I know. Actually, you know what? I think he's going to be in Ten of Swords because he's on one of the cards in the free comic book day. So hopefully we do get more Angel. All right, Excalibur number 11. Teeny Howard has been teasing this issue since the relaunch of comics in general after COVID, or not after we got shut down. So I'm really hoping. I'm not really hoping. Teeny Howard kills it. So I'm excited about this issue. I cannot wait. Lord of Empire Swordsman. I know this is going to be one of those, retelling or getting more insight to why he is the way he is, and I can't wait for it. I can't wait for all these books. I keep on saying that. I'm about all of this because it's on my pull list, but I'm excited about this one.
Me as well.
Now I got to do a little bit of shimmying here because I don't have it set up properly. Next up for me, and this is a book that you do not have on your pull list, is Ludocrats number 4. This book is bonkers. That's all I got to say. Writing is all over the place. Artwork is fantastic and beautiful, and I highly recommend it to anybody that is looking for a new book. Pick up Ludocrats. It's crazy. It's ludicrous. Maestro number 1. Yep. Are you picking this book up?
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm picking it up. Excited. Cool. Figure out what's going on. I know it's a mini series, and see what happens. Star number 4. I have only read 1 and 2. I do have 3 in my possession, so I'm gonna have to do that before this comes out. Also, another fun, new character who I don't think is gonna be doesn't seem like it's a hero. Seems like she's gonna be more of a villain or an anti-hero. So again, this is another one of those series that got cut, and now they're bringing it back to finish it off, which I'm super happy about. Here's the big one. Get ready, bud.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited.
I'm going to have to move the screen so we can see it. Nope. Where is it? It's Nate's cam. There you go. Thor number 6. Now,
Nope.
I'm not going to say anything.
Nope.
I'm not going to listen.
Don't even. Just move on. Just Thor number 6.
I'm not moving on. Just listen. Just hear me out. Buy 2 copies. All right. Valkyrie.
Ron gonna tell me 2 copies? I didn't pre-order 2 copies.
Ron will sell you 2 copies. We'll figure it out. If we got to go hunting, we'll go hunting. But I'm sure Ron will get you 2 copies, or at least get a cover B, or there's a Peach Momoko cover that. Oh, dude.
The Beta Ray Bill.
Beta Ray Bell homage. I don't know if Ron's got that or if he can get that. But
I think that's a store exclusive. I'm not sure for.
Jane Foster 10. We're finally gonna finish this arc. I think they're ending it after this.
I think so.
Which is sad, but I enjoyed it, and it'll be cool to see how we deal with the Thor brother, the brother of Thor that nobody knew about.
Right.
And last but not least, I don't want to show that total. Oh yeah, sure, fine. I'm spending $63 anyway. The Wolverine number 4. I don't know if this cover is a red herring or not. It is Omega Red drowning Wolverine in an icy bath water scenario, but I think we're going back to the vampire storyline that was first initially teased in the first issue. So Wolverine in general has been knocking it out of the park, so I've enjoyed it. But we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll actually get in an Omega Red sighting. I'm not going to be upset if he's not in the book, but I kind of want to see him.
Yeah, I mean, 2 books in 2 weeks without an appearance would be a little weird.
Yeah, but he's directly tied to that story. That's the whole thing in number 1. So I think we'll finally get our Omega Red storyline with Wolverine, and then I think after that we're pushing towards the end of Empire. We don't have a lot of Empire books this week. I think there's only one with the Swordsman, right?
No, Swordsman and
X-Men.
X-Men.
So let's see. Let me hold this really quick.
And Captain Marvel.
And Captain Marvel.
So 3.
Yeah. So that's our list for this week. So I've got a couple more. I think I have like 3 more books than you. I think there's a Spider-Woman 2 or Spider-Woman number 3 that I might pick up as well, just because I'm kind of floating on that. So that's our list for next week. Book that I'm looking forward to the most next week is Thor #6.
Yeah, has to
Omega
be
Red is Omega Red is a energy vampire. Yep. Yeah. He's gonna be. I'm sure he'll be in the book. But yeah, Thor #6 is both of our picks for next week. I know Donnie Cates is not going to disappoint. I know a little bit about it, but I'm not gonna say anything. Just pick up 2 copies when you can. Even if I'm just saying, just pick it up. Just do it. And if it doesn't happen, well, then you got 2 copies of a really cool comic anyway.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to open one of them. But yeah, that's our show for tonight. We went for 3 hours.
Too long.
I think we had fun. That's the thing. We're having fun, right?
Yeah.
And that's the point. And that's what we want to do. We want to. I think we had more viewers this time than last time, which is great. We always want more viewers, and we always want to continue to push the idea of supporting your local or supporting your LCS. Ours is collected out in Fort Worth off of Altamere, and there's a second location in Keller. So if you do get a chance and you are in the DFW area, please check out those 2 locations. And there are other awesome comic book stores in the DFW area if you're in this area. Check them out. And if not, do a quick Google search in your area and find yourself a comic book shop and read some comics. And also, while you're out there, please wear a mask. This stuff isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And, if I wear a mask, that means I'm protecting you. So you wear a mask so you can protect me. That's about it, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Keep your eyes peeled for any announcements about new early reviews. We got a couple coming up here soon. And as always, just keep on reading books. We'll see you guys later. Later.